Riley Cooper, that dude deserves a statue.
Number one on your speed dial.
Hey, I'll tell you what, I didn't know until a couple days after the fact. I was like, wait a minute, is he the MVP or we got the all-tournament team?
No doubt about it.
And then Ty Floyd, when I sure got 17, and stole it from him. But I was like, when has a pitcher been a part of 5 of the 6 wins in Omaha? I mean, what a performance!
Coach, it's great to meet you.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you for the time.
Pleasure.
Yes, sir.
Sorry I'm a little late, boys. At the spring game, obviously, as you can see. A couple of booze cruises here to do. Let's fit. Cruise. Grand salami to the boys. Finally back on track. And I got another one coming. Don't you think I don't? And that's how we roll in Tiger Stadium.
Just watching the spring games that were on television, one thing that jumped out about your squad is your quarterback room is very talented compared to a lot of the league and a lot of the country. I wonder, is it easier to recruit that position when you have talent or when you don't have talent? Coach Kelly, we're official.
Finally,
I'm
get a
telling
chance to meet you. Thought I had to get a private audience with the Pope. There's Jordy.
Monday through Friday from 7 to 9. Yeah, you see the notification, we about to go live. We got all your favorite guests, we got them in line. It's the Jordy Culotta Show, come have a good time.
Tearing up, answering the question, and I thought, my God, if Chica is offered this job, she's going to take it.
It's just a crazy, fun time at LSU right now. Isn't this what everybody loves?
From the boot to the east to the west coast, no matter where we at, we open up the phone lines, come and join the show. Make sure you tell your friends about Jordy Culotta Show, yeah.
Let's go! Let's go!
All right.
Big day. Big day.
Nice start.
It's the Jordy Culotta Show, come have a good time.
Coach, it's great to meet you.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you for the time. Tell you how much he benches. Welcome in to a Friday edition of the Jordy Culotta Show, as always.
I'll tell you how much I bench.
How much do you bench?
Bench 500 in high school. Bro.
Brought to you by RMB Builders, rmb-builders.com, and you can always find Rhett and the crew there on Instagram. If you're looking for a brand new house, you can get in touch with them. Looking forward to today's show. We're jam-packed. Representative John Stefanski, the next Attorney General of the state, is going to be here at 8 a.m.
Speaking of bitching.
Yes. Stefanski will be through at 8 a.m. We're going to talk to Shea Dixon at 8:30. We are going to talk to our Ochsner doctor right here to start us off here this morning, as we do every week to get us going each week on the Jordy Culotta Show. This morning we're going to talk to Dr. Bankhead, Dr. Chris Bankhead, who's going to be on the show. He is a sports medicine orthopedic surgeon. We're going to talk to him about shoulder injuries. Obviously, shoulder injuries haunting South Louisiana right now with the Saints quarterback. And Malik Neighbors seems to be battling a little bit of a shoulder injury as you could see some of his wincing getting up last weekend or a couple of weeks back at Mississippi State. So we'll talk to Dr. Bankhead and obviously remind you about the Saturday morning Grove Complex. Well, they will have Ochsner will have their doctors over there at the Grove Complex to see high school athletes and high school students who may suffer an injury tonight, or if you think you're injured, you can get over there and see him over at the Grove. So as soon as we got Dr. Bankhead, let me know, Stewie, and we will get him in and get us educated here on a Friday morning. Lloyd is here as we get going here on this Friday. Stewie is in the house here on this Friday. We will also talk to Ben Mintz at some point. Mintzy's texts have gone green.
Oh God!
So I don't
Go back to sleep. Sorry.
know if the
Might be on
phone's dead,
snooze.
if the phone's lost. I don't know if he's in Chicago this weekend
At a concert.
We are we're just kind of in limbo right now with Mincy, but he does have a text in his inbox reminding him about his weekly hit here to hand away the six-pack of winners like we do every Friday here on the Jordy Culotta Show from Barstool's Ben Mintz. LSU-Ole Miss coming up tomorrow, as we heard from the head coaches for the last time during game week, as Lane Kiffin and Brian Kelly both speaking to the media yesterday. Kelly wrapping up his practice and then heading over to the radio show over at TJ Ribs, where him and Chris Blair sat down for an hour and did the weekly thing. Here is a couple of bites. We'll get to a couple of bites from Brian Kelly yesterday, but a lot of talk about some of the players that could be returning this week for LSU, including Omar Spates, the senior linebacker, who is set to return to action as LSU travels over to Vaught-Hemingway Stadium. He has been out with a hip flexor injury for the last 2 games, and Brian Kelly was speaking about his senior linebacker. This is number 1, Stewie, as Coach Kelly yesterday took to the podium.
Thursday, we call it attention to detail. So we had details out there today. So what details would you like to talk about today? Anybody?
Going what?
Going once, going twice.
3 times sold.
You got it.
How's Omar doing? Is he all expected?
Yeah, he'll be in the rotation. Yep, practiced well this week, and but he can't handle the volume that would be required. So we feel really good about the work what's done. So he'll be in the rotation as well.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, in this case, like Omar maybe isn't full go in that regard, but like how?
Well, I would say he's 100%.
Okay.
He's 100%. But when you're talking about player load, to go from not playing in 2 weeks and then giving him, look, it's a fast tempo offense. You're really talking about quality reps, and he's going to fatigue, and so it just makes sense that we're on top of that and be really careful that we integrate him back in the game in the right manner.
Be interesting how they handle this weekend with Spates and Weeks, and this will bring up the debate on playing the best player once again here. And again, this is no knock on Omar Spates. This is not anything against his style or the way he plays. But after seeing a body of work of a month of seeing inside linebacker play at LSU, is it even a debate on who the better player is at this point? And maybe we didn't see Omar Spate fully healthy. I think he was against Florida State, though, right? I mean, in that game, he was healthy to start. You could see in week 2 versus Grambling that he couldn't move. One thing that Whit Weeks can do is Whit Weeks can run. And when you can run, you can cover up a lot of mistakes. And Weeks has done that through the first 2 weeks of him cutting his teeth in college football. Guy's got 18 tackles in 2 games. The leading tackler in his first start at Mississippi State. Followed that up with a 7-tackle performance the next week. I mean, he has a knack and a nose for the football that you cannot deny, and I wonder how you can keep off the field. I mean, at this point, Omar Spates would have to be Devin White to unseat Whit Weeks from the position. I mean, I'm talking about a player that you're like, obviously, this is the guy that you're putting back out there because he's just that much better. It's not the case. And look, again, I'm willing to give this thing a period of maybe Spates was hurt when we saw him the first time. Maybe this was an injury that was coming out of fall camp. If so, okay. If he gets out there on Saturday and shows that he can move, tackle, plug the gap, fill the hole, make a play, then you got a couple of linebackers. But what I've seen out of Whit Weeks in 2 weeks since he's been on the field, what are we debating? Like, what are we going back and forth over? 40's the guy. And I don't think particularly that it's close. So I hope that this is not, again, a situation where you wonder, how are you not playing the guy that should be out there that's impacting the defense the most, the best, gives you the best opportunity to win the game? So, I am weary on how they re-implement Omar Speights back into the lineup. And it's nothing on Speights. It's nothing that he has done in particular. It's sports. You get hurt, you have the potential of losing your job. And in this case, when Speights went down, the production went up. And I just hope this is not another scenario where you're wondering why the LSU staff is not playing the best player to give them a chance to win the game. And again, look, this hadn't happened. And this is nothing that has already, we're not reacting to anything. It just seems by some of the sound bites like,
What's the phrasing, right?
Why are you thinking this hard on it? I mean, what else do you need to see? Weeks makes your front seven different. When he's in there, his ability, his speed, his aggression, his really just the knowledge of the game. I mean, you could tell he really, really understands. I mean, the way he fills the hole, the way he understands where the ball's going to be. I mean, he's got a knack for football. He has an understanding, a clear understanding at a very young age of just the game. And, again, not saying that Omar Speights does not, but the production and the defense improves. It's a different style when he's out there.
And I think you have to wait and see with Omar Speights just to see if, obviously, he said he's 100%, but he's not 100% game speed, right? If he hasn't played in 2 weeks, where you've seen what's happened with Maason Smith, where it takes a second, and a hip flexor is no joke. If he's not able to run the same way that Whit Weeks is, the only thing that, and I don't think we're doing nothing but purely speculating. It was the phrasing that said you'll see Weeks in the rotation, which leads me to believe that Omar's going to get the start, right? Speights will start, and then you'll see Weeks rotate in. But I think by the end of when the paint is dry on the canvas, you'll see the snap count be Weeks much higher than Speights. So I don't think it's going to be a glaring omission when Speights is out there. It's not going to be Whit Weeks, pan the camera to 40 on the sideline, 10 times.
Sure.
It'll be, I'm sure, and the way that Weeks plays, this could be a good thing for him, so you can go 100% every play because he's out there giving all he has for LSU already as a freshman, where his sound bites, you can tell he loves it. He loves playing for LSU, and if you can spell a guy like that, you get his best effort every time he's on the field.
Brandon Hollingsworth, I don't think that Brian Kelly would argue with you, Jordy. He is just saying that Omar would be in the rotation, which he should be. Yeah. They have already seen what Whit has done. I agree. I need to chill out. You're right.
What's the reason,
Marcus Stewart, reactionary Friday, pump the brakes on Weeks. He made a lot of freshman mistakes. Relax, Jordy.
Told you to save it for Sunday.
I get it. I just think when comparison's sake, he's the better player.
Yeah, can't hurt to have another body out there.
All right, we're going to talk to Dr. Bankhead here coming up from Ochsner. As we said, we're going to talk to Doc about every Friday as we.
What's Ole Miss's mascot? Is it still a bear?
I go Rebel, bro.
Yeah, all right.
I mean,
it was a shark.
They still have Colonel Reb on the sideline, don't they?
I don't think so.
I mean, it's
the Ole Miss Land Sharks, Black Bears.
Yeah, but I mean they've done it all, but it feels like they went back to Rebel.
I think maybe they rode the wave and then landed back on the cavalry came back home, I guess.
Yeah, I mean I don't know. I
have no idea.
I have no idea either.
I don't know who it is.
Who do we ask? I guess we could ask Mintz.
Yeah, Mintz would know.
Doc, turn that phone for me, Doc.
All right, come back. We will have Dr. Bankhead. Just like we do every week, we've got a representative from Ochsner just to learn about what's going on. Ask in particular this week about about shoulder injuries,
Yeah.
right? Malik Neighbors has been, it looks like, battling a little bit of a shoulder injury. Obviously, some of the pro quarterbacks dealing with some shoulder injuries. So we will link up with our guy, Dr. Bankhead, from Ochsner. Our friends over at Ochsner. Remember, we remind you every Saturday morning about the Grove Complex over there on Bluebonnet. They are seeing high school athletes from 8 a.m. until 10:30. A great place, a great spot to stop in. If you think you're injured tonight, if you think you suffer an injury tonight, or if you do have an injury, go see the pros over at Ochsner Sports Medicine, located on Bluebonnet over there at the Grove Complex every Saturday morning. Doc, good morning. How are you?
Money in the
Hey,
bank.
good morning. Thanks for having me. I'm doing well.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us. Obviously, Friday nights, and we know that Ochsner has great representation on high school sidelines all over the place. Doc, we've seen shoulder injuries pop up a little bit here in the first month of football, in particular some AC sprains and some dislocated shoulders. What are those injuries look like? What does the rehab like that look like? And what's the timeline in getting back, usual on sprains and shoulders getting back to play?
Yes, sir. You're 100% right there. Shoulder injuries are super common out there, whether it's the high school, collegiate, or pro level. Those two injuries that you mentioned specifically, shoulder dislocations and AC injuries, are probably the most common. The shoulder joint really has two parts. It has the ball and socket part, and then it has the AC part, which is the clavicle and a part of the shoulder blade called the acromion that's just above the shoulder. Now, depending on your position or kind of what you're at risk for, you can have either one of these kinds of injuries. Now, shoulder dislocation usually involves the ball kind of sliding out of the socket, and that can damage the labrum around there, whereas an AC injury typically happens from getting tackled hard onto your side, and that involves, like I said, the collarbone where it meets the shoulder blade itself. Now, they're both parts of the shoulder, but they're treated a little bit differently. AC injuries, for the most part, can be treated non-operatively. Generally, they're classified in kind of one of 6 different grades from type 1 to type 6. Most of them are type 1, 2, or 3, which are really just sprains, kind of not that different from an ankle sprain. You try and work on just getting your range of motion back, then getting your strength back, and finally kind of return to play. Shoulder dislocations can be a little tougher sometimes because once that shoulder dislocates, it can be a little bit more likely to come out again. So those are the guys you'll see in those kind of shoulder braces and harnesses and pick-ins. Once it pops out once, it generally is a little bit more likely to come out again. Usually you're able to work them back and get them strong enough that they can keep playing too, though.
How about from somebody who is a passer, somebody that is tasked with throwing the football in the sport and rehabbing a shoulder injury on that side, whether right or left-handed, right or left shoulder dominant? What's that usually look like, and how much does that hamper the rehab?
Yeah, that obviously adds a whole nother level of concern because not only do they have to have full range of motion, they have to have full strength. The throwing mechanics it's not really a natural motion for the shoulder. It puts a lot of stresses in a lot of different spots. And those guys have to be pinpoint accurate. I mean, the windows that they have to throw into are really tight. And so you really have to be on your game when it comes to that. Now, the way we generally rehab these injuries is you got to get all your range of motion back first. Once you get your range of motion back, then we work on strength. And so if for whatever reason you're limited as far as range of motion goes, whether it's pain or what, it makes it much harder to get all your strength back. And so the timeline typically gets a little bit longer with if it involves your throwing shoulder. But again, it all depends on just the grade of the injury. The lower grade injuries tend to be able to come back faster than the higher grade.
Dr. Bankhead over at Ochsner Sports Medicine, tell us a little bit about the complex tomorrow morning, obviously the Saturday morning Grove Complex, which will have its doors open to high school athletes, just like you guys do every Saturday morning.
Yeah, the Saturday morning clinic is great. It's open to everyone. We know that a lot of guys are out there playing on Friday nights, and you may get banged up. You may not notice anything until later that night or early the next morning. We have a clinic open to everyone who wants to stop by. We're there from 8 to 10 in the morning at the Grove. One of our sports medicine specialists will be there, whether it's me, Dr. Burnham, Dr. Hogan, Dr. Wilson, or Dr. Bradley will be there to evaluate anyone who comes in. We got x-ray there. We can just set up. One of the keys to having a successful rehab is just getting a good initial diagnosis and starting a plan so that we can, like I talked about, get your range of motion back, get your strength back, and get you back on the field.
Thank you for joining us, Dr. Bankhead. Have a great day. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next week.
All right, thank you.
All right, there he is, Dr. Bankhead, checking in from Ochsner Sports Medicine this morning, just like we do every Friday. We check in with our friends over there at the Ochsner Sports Medicine Andrews Institute over at Ochsner. Remember, you can check out the Grove Complex every Saturday morning here on Bluebonnet as they find that they will be open to talking with you and diagnosing any injuries that you may suffer here on a Friday night. We are. The chat is open if you want to jump inside there and get your thoughts on LSU-Ole Miss this weekend. Lane Kiffin yesterday was speaking a bit to the media. Do we have this bite on Kiffin from our friend Brian Holland over at Go Nation, who was tracking some of what Kiffin was saying out of Oxford? He was talking a little bit how this defense is playing, speaking of the LSU defense, in particular one of their players in Harold Perkins. And if you remember this game last year, I mean, this was really where they found that groove for Harold Perkins, right? And I saw where Jeff Maason in the chat said that lately the show has been over discussing who should play or who should not play. Well, Jeff, I mean, I'm sorry, man. You don't have to listen to the show, but it's obvious that's what LSU football is doing still. They're still tinkering with the lineup. So we're going to talk about it. I mean, this is what this show is. If you don't like it, you ain't got to stay. You know what I mean? I mean, to be in here and be complaining all of the time about what the show is talking about, what else do you want us to talk about? Sounds like you don't like it. I mean, like, the team is still tinkering with the lineup on who they're playing. What do you want us to discuss? For God's sakes. I mean, the opposing coach is saying the same thing when they're talking and looking at LSU. They're still trying to figure it out. They're still trying to find the best lineup that's giving them the best chance to win. And sometimes they don't settle, or it looks like play the right guys at the right time. You think Chris Hilton could have used a couple of snaps in week 1? You think they could have used a DB in week 1? Those are things that are going to be debated and be talked about. Just like LSU football's talking about it. And Brian Kelly, half of his press conferences is asked about who's playing, when are they going to play, why are they not playing?
Where are you going to play them?
Lane Kiffin's answering questions about it. So if a show is tasked in covering LSU football, that's what they're going to talk about. I mean, if you don't like it, get the hell out.
Jeff Marconi.
It's always just complain. Either watch or don't. Here's Lane Kiffin talking about how they should use Harold Perkins.
You don't have to watch this either.
I don't know if they've talked about it, but it looks like they tried to play him like a normal backer in week 1 and play him like a boundary wheel backer, and looks like they scratched that after the Florida State game and went back to last year's plan and just put him out there and make a few calls with him, let him play. So wish they'd put him back in there.
I mean, like they can't figure it out. I mean, like the other opposing coach is saying so. I mean, like, but if you remember this game last year, it was Lane Kiffin in the post-game press conference that was like, I don't know what they're doing over there, but they're sincerely overthinking what they're doing with Harold Perkins. Just put him out there and let him go. And this is really when Harold Perkins' freshman season took off. I mean, like, he became another dimension, it felt like, after they played Ole Miss. And it wasn't solely because Lane Kiffin told him what to do, but I mean, afterwards he was like, what are they doing? Like, this guy.
Well, he was asked specifically, right, by the sideline reporter after the game. It's like, well, what changed? Because it went from Ole Miss 17-3 to LSU drubbing Ole Miss. And he goes, well, they put 40 out there. I felt like he didn't even know who he was until he did. And he was like, well, I didn't game plan for that. And that was really when the soundbite and the maturation of the game plan turned into, we're letting him loose. And it changed a lot of games, and he was exposed in some games. But it came down to, you have an absolute stud that can wreck games like he did against Auburn, like he did against Ole Miss. I mean, down goes the list. And you found out that it doesn't. And I understand what LSU was trying to do going into this year, right? I feel like everybody does what he's talking about, like put him in the middle. It was an opportunity for Perkins to make more plays, right? Put him in the middle, put him in the action, and see how he reacts. Okay, it doesn't work. I understand that. You scrap it after week 1, and there's still, you don't want him dropping in coverage 28 times. You want him rushing the passer 28 times. But there still is some wiggle room because you want him to be a dynamic game changer because of what he did on offense in high school. You know he has ball skills. You saw it whenever against Mississippi State when he was running in coverage. So you want to see those things so he has more opportunities to change the game. But at this point, wherever LSU is still trying to figure it out, let's not make all the dishes at once in the kitchen. If you know that you make a good mac and cheese, put that thing in the oven and let it cook. And then you could put the rest of the meal together. But if you have one thing that you do well, let's do that before you worry about all the ancillary pieces around it, because you have the Maason Smith story that's still going on. You have you have Spates, and now you have Spates and Weeks. You're still trying to figure out at corner. You know that you can do one thing really well. Why don't you go ahead and put that one in?
Here is Kelly speaking more about his personnel and how much it matters on defense to what guys are out there. This is number 2, Stewie.
Each series, we get a better feel for, what their game plan is and see how they want to attack us. And then, we'll make our adjustments relative to the personnel that we want in the game. If it becomes much more of a spread game where they want to try to get us out of the box, we'll make what we consider to be the appropriate personnel adjustments.
Playing different players. Yeah, I mean, the defense, it is kind of personnel driven, right? He does have a great soundbite, I thought, on Maason Smith. Did we get that one? Yes, this is the last one. This is number 9. And I think this is what we've talked about with Maason Smith and how much attention and really how much he is doing through the first couple of weeks of being out there. And it's stuff that we don't see. It's stuff that we may not recognize. It's definitely stuff that does not show up on the stat line. Right? Like when you go and look at the stats in the post game, you will see or not see production from Maason Smith in numbers. Right? But we all expect to see the numbers when we watch Maason Smith, hear about Maason Smith, know what Maason Smith can do. So when you don't see those numbers, you do say, well, he's underperforming. And for his standard, he probably is, but he's still doing a lot of good things, and he's still doing things that only Maason Smith can do, and that is taking on double teams, gobbling up multiple players so guys behind him, guys next to him can really eat. Here is Brian Kelly speaking about Maason Smith and just kind of his getting back into form
during a season.
Well, I think he's played like 13 college games, and I don't want to sound like he's not playing well, because he is. He's doing a lot of things for us. He played a lot of the nose for us earlier in the season, so he's 2-gapping in the nose. It's a dirty job, and he was playing a lot of 3 and 5 technique as his freshman year. And in that 3 and 5 technique, he had a lot of opportunities to make big plays. He's not getting as many opportunities to make the kind of impact that he did as a true freshman. And he's only played in about 13 college games. So I think that we got to have a little patience, but he's doing some of the dirty work. I mean, if you really look at what he's doing, he's freeing up our linebackers. He's doing the work that he's asked to do. I think maybe we need to be a little bit more creative with him and maximize some of the things that he can do for us. And I think maybe we'll start to see that as we move through the season.
And that's what you get from Maason Smith here in coming off that injury, right? I mean, you're getting somebody who's trying to play himself back into shape and really get himself back into a mode, into a mindset of being that guy. I mean, really, when you put it in numbers, you knew that you were limited in what you've seen from him up to this point. 13 games? That's all he's played in college football. I mean, it's crazy to think that that's the body of work. Remember Michael Brockers? I mean, what did Brockers played 18 games at LSU? I mean, that was always kind of like the argument of a redshirt freshman. right? Like if you're going to redshirt a guy like Brockers, like there's no point in it. Trey Turner was another one. How many games did you get out of Trey Turner? I think you got under like 20 games out of Turner. You decided to redshirt him his freshman year. He was probably one of the better guys. You probably should have cut his teeth and just gotten some, late third quarter, fourth quarter reps out of him in some blowout games, but just thrown him out there. In the totally different argument, Terrence Tolliver is a guy that you probably should have redshirted. He was on a team that featured Demetrius Byrd, Early Doucette, Brandon LaFell, wide receivers that could play and played all of them in the league outside of Byrd because of the car accident. But think about if Terrence Tolliver would have been on the 2011 team.
Oof.
Rather than him being a senior on the 2010 team after he wasn't redshirted. Right? I mean, like there's different scenarios and examples that you can give in both instances, but a guy like Maason Smith, who only has 13 games after an injury, or who was the example that we were just talking about? A guy that shouldn't have redshirted?
Tolliver?
I mean, the guys like that, but the guy on the current team that you might as well just throw him out there when you know that, look, he may not be fully developed now, but 2 years from now he's going to be a pro. So you're not going to be able to, make that Brian Thomas. Why would you redshirt Brian Thomas? I mean, what did he have, 11 catches his freshman year?
Something close to that.
I even think he had something, like his numbers weren't as glaring last year. But by the time he gets to year 3, it's going to be tough to hang on to him because he's going to be nearly fully matured. He's going to be 3 years in the weight room, 3 years in the nutrition center, 3 years in going up against high-level D1 DBs. And he might be one of the best players in the country. And a month into his third year, he is.
Yeah, 28 catches his freshman year.
How many did he have last year?
31.
So, I mean, he's got 60 catches in 2 years. He's going to have that by,
he's already at 25.
He might have 60 by the time they get to mid-October.
He already beat his
freshman
personal year. He already beat his personal record for touchdowns, 5. He had 5 last year. He's got 5 already this year.
And Malik's already doubled his from last year.
Probably going to triple it.
I would hope so. If LSU, then that's what I was asking before the show, is if you wanted to see an LSU offense continue to play the way that they have been, wherever they score, you get into what has become the LSU way to win, which is these shootout games where you score 40 and give up 30, or if you wanted to see the defense step up and maybe the offense takes a step back and where it becomes you get more of a defensive effort, and if that comes at a cost of the offense, it's not that they have to correlate, but I was just saying if you'd rather see a 14-10 game where you get some signs of life from the LSU defense as opposed to another 41-35 type, 42-35 type game where the offense is the star of the show and you're still continually trying to figure it out on defense.
I say keep refining the offense.
And there's no reason it can't be both.
And keep getting better every week offensively. I mean, I think that LSU potentially could have a 1, 2, 3 offense in the country when it's all said and done. I think they're that good.
Yeah, they're first in the SEC in nearly everything.
Everything, right? I mean, and only getting better.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, I would not sacrifice. I just think that LSU is going to have to win like they won last weekend every week. Yeah, 34-31, 41-38. 38-32. I mean, it's going to be shootouts every week. Your defense is going to have to give you, 2 stops a half.
I think you can get that against Ole Miss. You'll also give up some big plays. You saw how the Alabama game started with Ole Miss. Like, Lane will find some ways to exploit you early on. His first 15 are as good as they come in the country. But after that, it feels like both teams settle in. Alabama just bowed their neck and started playing bully ball with Ole Miss, and they didn't have the horses to run with them. The offensive line on Ole Miss is not very good, and that's why we're having the conversation about Harold Perkins. They're both their left tackle and right tackle got beat consistently against Alabama, and you have a guy like Harold Perkins that can come off the edge and change the game. If you're LSU, you just need to worry about forcing pressure. Jackson Dart will step up and run, but if you have somebody a la Whit Weeks, or if it's Spates, it's Spates. Somebody in the middle that when that pressure comes and if they over pursue, you have somebody there that's there to clean up the mess where Jackson Dart can't step up and run and go for, like KJ Jefferson did, take off for 15, 20 yards at a time or shrug people off and make a throw downfield and extend a play that goes for a touchdown. That's what you have to eliminate the big plays. And LSU keeps everything in front of them. I think they'll be fine because they've gotten into the red zone. And while teams have scored every time they've been in the red zone against LSU, they're holding a lot of teams to field goals as opposed to touchdowns. If you do that with this LSU offense, there's your recipe for success.
Yeah. Remember, you can find Hughes Mechanical online at hughesmechanical.net, and they can help you out with residential or commercial AC today. Whether you need it installed or you need it serviced, Hughes Mechanical Contractors can help you out. Call Travis and his crew at 225-658-2147. 225-658-2147 is the phone number, or you can log online and search them at hughesmechanical.net. Residential or commercial, get in touch with them today. They serve the entire portion of South Louisiana. They're located in Zachary. They're all throughout the North Shore, New Orleans, Lafayette, Baton Rouge, all over the place. Hughes Mechanical, hughesmechanical.net, 225-658-2147. 225-658-2147 is the phone number to get in touch with Hughes Mechanical. Call them today. It was a beautiful morning, man. It is a
felt great,
crisp, beautiful morning here on this Friday, getting you ready for a fall Saturday where LSU and Ole Miss, the slate of college football, meh.
Well, that's why all eyes are going to be on this LSU-Ole Miss game.
Yeah.
It feels like a lot of eyes are going to be on LSU-Ole Miss, and they're still sunshine pumping, which to a good degree, and they should be, USC-Colorado is still very high on the docket for people because you want to see it one more time, depending on what side of the fence you're on, because Deion has drawn a line in the sand where people either love him or hate him, and they're going to continually be in prime time for, I guess, one more week, and it's a USC team that's defense can be exploited, right?
It's terrible.
And Travis Hunter tried to play, send a text to Deion, and Deion read it in front of the team, and he's like, I don't care what it takes, I'm going to play. And Deion's like, no, you're not. Like, I care about you more than I care about the football game. Like, you're generational, showing that he cares more about the player than the game.
Yeah.
But it shows that team still bought in. And if Travis Hunter's in the game, I think it is a different game. But you still look for fireworks with Shadur Sanders versus Caleb Williams.
USC at Colorado, 11 a.m. It's a part of the big noon kickoff this week. If you are a star, they are going to be there. Jay-Z's going to be there. Lil Wayne's going to be there. T.O.'s going to be there. I think T.O.'s on staff at Colorado.
I don't know if he's on staff.
He's always around.
Yeah, he might just be like a...
But it looks like all of the stars
outside
from L.A. are going to dump onto Colorado's campus for this Saturday's kickoff with USC in town. Look, USC's the heavy favorite here in this game. I would say that 17.5 feels like a lot of points with USC's defense. If you've watched USC's defense play, they are they're not physical. They're not good. When I watch the Pac-12 seems as, one of the premier conferences this season in college football. I look at Washington. I look at Oregon. I don't think USC can beat those teams.
They can't stop them.
They can't stop them for sure. And Oregon is SEC physical. This is a different Oregon team than we have. It's not this finesse.
Hey, Chip Kelly.
Right. It's not where they're no threat to beat you. Like, they will walk up on you and punch you in the mouth. And Lanning is he's a Kirby Smart disciple. He is a psychopath. He's Kirby Smart a decade ago, right? Where, the cameras weren't rolling on Kirby Smart in the locker room 10 years ago. He is a uncaged lunatic.
Yeah, the secret's out.
Yes. Look at Lanning.
Well, no, I'm talking about Dan Lanning, because I didn't know he had that in him. I assumed because he was under Kirby Smart and on that Georgia staff where, you could see Kirby Smart on the sidelines at LSU. You could see the fire that man has. He's a Nick Saban disciple. They all have that in them. But Dan Lanning has been just kind of quietly building something on the West Coast, and I think he used last week as his Oregon's here.
Yes.
Because they felt severely disrespected they're going up against a Colorado team that...
Well, he took advantage of
the spotlight,
the platform.
Yes.
right? Like, I mean, like, did you hear his halftime interview? Like, going in, he was like, I hope everybody has been watching today. And, like, I was like, oh, they are.
Yeah, numbers
like,
big.
Yeah, I mean, like, the number may have fallen off the cliff in the second half just because, I mean, it was a terrible game. I mean, that's why nobody was watching. Everybody just checked out. But, I mean, the first 2 quarters of that game, you saw real quick, this is a different Oregon. Like, they're coming to fight. They're not coming to outscore you and run past you and look pretty and all of that stuff, which they still do. I mean, they still have all the swag. That's the funniest part about Lanning. You know, like, they play for clicks, we play for win. You know, like,
you're on Nike's campus.
I mean, like, dude, Oregon is kind of like the poster child of I mean, they're the runway model for Nike.
And did Oregon not start a whole, like, Bo Nix Heisman campaign with, like,
on skyscrapers
and everything?
Right, like, I mean, I get Lanning's,
and then they put out a 5-minute movie after the Colorado game. Like, I get taken care of, like, taking advantage of the spotlight, but y'all are doing the same thing that Colorado's doing.
Right, but I will say this, from Oregon's standpoint, I don't know if you can do any better than Dan Lanning. Like, he has brought an SEC mentality to a part of the country that I never thought it would work. Like, I mean, like, keep hiring your Chip Kellys and your Mario Cristobal's and all of those guys. Like, keep bringing those guys in because Oregon will just be the same old Ducks, right? Where you can run into them in the playoffs and they won't have anybody that can stop you. And if you really get SEC physical on them, they'll probably tuck and run. That ain't the case anymore. I mean, Lanning's got those cats, like, you know, looking in the alley, ready to fight. I mean, they have a different mentality to them. And that's the style that USC they don't like. That is obviously who Lincoln Riley is, right? Like, I mean, we've seen Lincoln Riley at enough places now where the book is out. Like, the guy is dominant when it comes to offense. He is a quarterback whisperer. I mean, he can turn you into a Heisman Trophy winner overnight. Right? I mean, like, he's got an incredible resume. But from a head coaching standpoint, there's no fear. Any type of Lincoln Riley teams. You know what I mean? Like,
that matchup.
So if Lincoln Riley wanted to fight, dude, fight him.
Fight Lincoln Riley. I mean, like,
same.
You know, I mean, I don't know.
I'm saying it out loud.
But just like his team, for sure. Like, I would play Lincoln Riley's team anytime, anywhere, any season with any quarterback. I mean, like, he could have an all-star staff. Give me, you know, like, take Kyler Murray, Jalen Hurts, and Caleb Williams if you want. You can have all 3 of them. It's still, I'll play you. I'm gonna play you in the Rose Bowl. I mean, I'll play you. You know, I mean, at the Coliseum.
I mean, as long as he's got Alex Grinch on his hip, I feel good about going into any matchup with USC. I don't know what his addiction is to Grinch or what he has on Lincoln Riley, but they are tied to the hip. And, I mean, we played some of their practice, USC defensive practice, where their DBs are getting run over at 50% tackling drills.
Yeah.
I just don't know what that doesn't seem fixed. If you're worried about the LSU defense, go watch USC play defense. LSU isn't in the worst spot of all time.
No, I agree. I mean, that's why I'm saying, like, 17.5 this weekend, USC, Colorado. That feels like a lot of points just because of USC's defense. I know that USC is going to score. I know. I mean, like, you know, Lincoln Riley's getting off the bus dropping 35.
Oh, yeah, it fell off his pockets.
Right? But, I mean, I don't want to get into a shootout with Shedeur Sanders. I mean, like, if I'm Lincoln Riley, I'm thinking, hey, fellas, like, they got a quarterback that can chop us up if we're not ready to play. I mean, you know, like, we don't have a plan. And one thing I can pretty much guarantee is that Lincoln Riley's team's defense, they don't have a plan. I mean, they got SEC I mean, didn't they get they got the Bear Alexander kid from Georgia?
Yes. Yes.
I mean, it's like they got SEC players over there.
I think that might be like the one outlier.
Yeah.
And like, I think Shane Lee from Alabama, the linebacker. Tacky Curtis.
So USC, Colorado, Texas A&M, Arkansas is another interesting game this weekend. I think, you know, seeing KJ Jefferson up close and seeing this Texas A&M defense the way they played last weekend. 13 tackles for loss against Auburn. I mean, we've talked about this defensive line. We've talked about the way they've recruited. They're really, you start paying attention. I mean, I know they got shoved around against Miami, which was discouraging, but I mean, that's kind of been the common theme of SEC. whether it's Utah, Florida, North Carolina, South Carolina, Florida State, LSU.
I'll be honest. Auburn doesn't even know what they're doing offensively.
No, Hugh Freeze put it on.
If you watch Auburn, if you watch that game, it was. I don't even know what I was watching offensively.
If you're Texas A&M, you've got to be a little fired up to have old Max Johnson behind center.
I think, dude,
he's the better player.
He is.
I don't care if it's not sexy.
And Petrino's offense has opened that thing up a little bit.
Just a touch.
They've got deep threat. Their wide receiver core. I mean, I would say
that's what Petrino did.
I would say their wide receivers is behind LSU's 3. That's the second best 3
in the SEC.
Yes. I mean, I'm talking about 3. They might have a team that has 1, 2. But I mean, their top 3, Evans, Muhammad, and I'm missing 1. But they've got 3 dudes that can beat you. Like you have to guard them.
I agree.
Max Johnson under center makes them a little different. It makes them tougher.
Jake Johnson,
for sure.
It does,
but they have 3 wideouts that can beat you.
I wonder if he's going to put in that behind the back pass.
No. Hey, he tested it. Practiced it all week.
Almost completely.
Y'all keep cracking on Max Johnson.
No, I'm not.
I'm telling you, that kid's going to be a
I'm
pro.
not cracking on him at all.
He will collect the check in the league.
No doubt, because I think what he brings to, you say toughness, I agree with that, but what he brings to is a steady pace to the game. There's no panic behind that man. Connor Wegman, it still felt frantic, where it was you don't know what's going to happen. Max Johnson just makes good decisions. He threw 28 touchdowns with an offense that didn't have a coordinator.
I mean,
that's
seriously,
such an unbelievable feat. That was
young.
Was
young.
It 28 touchdowns and 6 picks, or is it 31 touchdowns?
I think it was 30.
It was 30 touchdowns, like the touchdown interception ratio, where he had Jake Peets castrated on the sidelines, and it was like, I'm calling my own shit.
Ogeron calling plays.
Power. We're not running that anymore.
Hey,
Waggle.
We're going to run wag 10 times a game for you, son.
Max Johnson had to pretend he couldn't run so he didn't have to run power.
Telling you, Max Johnson, I mean, Wegman's a player. Don't get me wrong.
He's got the potential, but...
You know what I mean? It felt it felt much like Chris Sims, Major Applewhite. Where it was I guess Sims got a lot of talent, but I mean, Applewhite's the dude.
Making this thing hum.
Yeah, he's a Big 12 Player of the Year. But I mean, Texas A&M, this is a big spot for them. And, obviously very impressive with Arkansas last weekend and KJ Jefferson. I think that's a great game. Another sneaky game good on the docket this weekend is Kansas, Texas.
Yeah.
I mean, for somebody, and I am beating the Texas drum. I believe that Texas is the best team in the country, and this has got to be a revenge spot for them because Kansas beat Sark's first team.
Yeah.
In Texas, too.
Yes, in Austin. I mean, 2 years ago, this was almost like the beginning of the end for Sark.
Yeah.
Like he nearly never got off the mat of Kansas going in to DK Royal Stadium and beating Texas. And I heard Sark on a lot of media this week, and I mean, he's talked like, they needed that. You know what I mean? As down and as bad and as beaten up as they got during that time, they needed that to happen so they could get to this point. And I think they're going to beat the ever-living hell out of Kansas tomorrow. I really do. I think that this is a spot where Kansas is just walking in to a meat grinder. I mean, this one feels like Texas is about to flex and get that revenge that they've been waiting on for the last couple of years. And then I think Notre Dame's walking into a spot tomorrow, boys. I think Notre Dame could turn around and be 2 losses here in September. Or I guess, would be October 1st. But Duke is a scary, scary team now. Elko, again, SEC talent. I don't know what happened to, but the Duke football talent overnight with Mike Elko looks completely different. Like he is recognized like the transfer portal, go get the talent, bring the guys in, and this is what, has watered down the SEC. Is that all the second and third team guys from the past couple of seasons or some of the high-end guys like Jordan Birch are now playing at Oregon? Some of them are at Miami. Some of them are at Florida State. Some of them are at Duke. And that's why the SEC is depleted. That's why Alabama, I think, is different. Alabama used to just be able to rely on, if they suspended or didn't play the first team guy, that the second and third team guy were 5 stars too, and they were just going to come in and beat the hell out of them. But those guys are now gone. Those guys are now not on the roster. They're at different schools. They're at Texas. Really? I mean, you look at Texas's high-end players, a lot of those guys were SEC backups or SEC frontline players. So that Duke-Notre Dame game is very intriguing tomorrow. I think Kansas-Texas, I think Texas is just going to flex all over Kansas.
It'll probably be close early.
And then the USC-Colorado game, I think, is going to be one that obviously all the eyeballs and all the stars and everybody's going to be paying attention to. Texas A&M Arkansas won it, but LSU-Ole Miss got a big opportunity.
USC is vulnerable on defense.
Oh my gosh, vulnerable.
Just bad defensive play, and their offensive line isn't that good.
I just don't know if Colorado has you get into a shootout like that. What do you think the over-under is in that game?
It's at least 70.
For
Colorado USC.
Oh, I would say 70 for sure.
73.5.
Wow. I would take the over.
Still, I mean, sometimes Vegas can't set it high enough. They try to scare you with a big number, but put that thing at 80 and see if I won't pull the trigger. But you say there's not a good slate. These all sound like fun games, especially with the chaos that's been in college football this year. You can't say that everybody's going to upset everybody, right? You can't have Duke beating Notre Dame and Kansas beating Texas and Colorado beating USC. I don't think all three of those happen. Maybe if you get one, you're excited. And then obviously we're biased towards an SEC slate or LSU, but I do think that's probably one of the games that can tilt a conference.
Oh, without question.
I think it's one of the bigger games of the sneaky big.
Absolutely.
I don't know why I still don't know why it's at 5:00.
I don't either.
I don't know. Such a random time.
I guess it's
should ask
TV.
Blair.
Yeah. Brandon Hollingsworth. Jordy, you also said that Miles Brennan would collect a check in the NFL. I'll make a bet that Max Johnson never plays a down in the NFL. I'll take that bet all day. All day. Brandon Hollingsworth. Miles Brennan quit before the combine. I mean, he came out midway through his senior year and said, I'm done with football. I'm giving up on this. I don't want to do this. I still stand by if he goes through the process and goes through a pro day, goes through the combine, goes and works out for teams, that he gets a shot. I mean, you're going to tell me that there's 60 better people in the world that throws a football better than him? That guy turned the film on. I mean, he is a natural when it comes to throwing the ball. He just quit on the game, which is his prerogative, and living a very happy life for it.
Man's married.
Max Johnson is... Look in the NFL.
Hold on, real quick on Miles Brennan. The 3 games he played, Mississippi State, 27 of 46, 345, 3 touchdowns, 2 picks, granted, but that was after the Joe Burrow love affair, and that was a tough situation to step into. Next game, Vanderbilt, 23 of 37, 337, 4 touchdowns, 1 pick. Missouri, 29 of 48, 430 yards, and 4 touchdowns. Telling me he couldn't spin it?
I mean, come on. Look, and not only that, look at the NFL. There's 3 quarterbacks per roster. There's 32 teams. You start getting down, the numbers on this thing. You're talking about like some delivery guys. You're talking about like some Uber Eats drivers that are taking snaps in the league. I mean, you're talking about like some bums. I mean, Miles Brennan is one of 90 quarterbacks in the world that can fit an NFL roster. No doubt in my mind, just as much confidence as I would say that with Max Johnson. I mean, what have you seen from Max Johnson that would tell you
otherwise?
He's not a pro? I mean, I'm not telling you that he's a franchise starting quarterback in the league and going to win awards, but, I mean, he checks nearly every box. I absolutely will take that bet, Brandon Hollingsworth. Let me know what it is. I mean, what do we bet?
A car. A truck.
Brandon Hollingsworth, it's because he wasn't even going to be the starter after his 5th year in college. I mean, it still doesn't mean that he can't go to the NFL Combine and get a shot. There's a lot of guys that weren't starters or one-year starters that still get chances in the NFL. we
He's
all
a
agree,
sophomore.
We all agree that Miles Brennan's situation was a very much of an outlier, right? I mean, like the guys that he was here playing next to will probably that'll never happen again.
Yeah, Ole Miss posted a picture of them beating LSU in 2021, and it was a picture of Liam Shanahan. Just brought me back to bad times.
Oh, that's what he was playing behind.
Yeah. I mean, Liam Shanahan, coach.
Oh, 2003, by the way, if we want to bring it back to Ole Miss, that's when they retired the general, the Reb.
2003? Wow.
I wonder if they bring him back for the weekend.
Colonel Reb's been dead since 03?
20 years.
Ole Miss and the Powder Blues this weekend.
They're in the 1 seed. They're in the 1 seed of uniforms.
I'll go Tulane.
Coach, Tulane's baby blue. Ole Miss's baby blues on the red tops and gray bottoms is tough. It's
so
going blue.
It is
blue.
good.
Well, they wanted to go dark blue like they wore in 2003. They wanted to throw it back to honor the 2003 Co-West SEC champs. There's a lot of articles on that and what uniform they would wear, but I guess they went a different way. But for a little bit more on the mascot, it was retired in 2003.
Retired?
Yes. Tony the Land Shark came in.
Land Sharks.
They gave it a...
So that was like Kim Dichie and them, right? When they were...
Yes.
Right.
But before that, it was Rebel the Bear who... Reb the Bear. Because...
Who are we?
Teddy Roosevelt refused to shoot a black bear in Mississippi, so we're the Black Bears. That ended up being a flop and was replaced by Tony the Land Shark in 2018. And there's a lot of fanfare going around. We haven't seen Tony the Land Shark very often. And so, we like to respect the tradition of Ole Miss, and Tony the Land Shark only comes out in big moments. So they're just trying to sneak the Reb back out there. They can't let it die.
Oh, man. What a tough spot to
be if you
in.
don't change the name of your...
Right.
Then you're still that. West Virginia can have the Mountaineer. So if you just do it, I guess that's what Ole Miss is thinking.
Still has the Seminoles.
Well, the Florida State Seminoles now. They want that. They want that game check.
Yeah. TV money.
You saw the R words petition to be the R words again because they're suing Washington for changing the name.
Really?
Yeah, they felt like it was an opportunity to promote their culture.
So new management's going in on this? They're leaning in?
No, well, they just got hit with a class action lawsuit. They don't know what,
Don't know what to do, keep it in a tidy box.
Yeah.
The Commanders, isn't it?
No, they're changing that.
Yeah, have to. All right, so hour 2, we're going to be joined by Representative John Stefanski. He's going to be here. He's running for Attorney General in the state right now. It's coming down to Election Day. We will talk to him a little bit about that, but we will also talk to him about sports, the Saints, obviously what's going on there, LSU, as the Tigers take off to Ole Miss this weekend. Make sure and give us a like here. We're about 25 short of getting to our 100 per hour. If you're watching right now and you have not hit that like button, go ahead and hit that thumbs up. We appreciate you doing that. Shea Dixon's going to be here at 8:30 this morning. We'll talk to Shea about the weekend ahead for the Tigers from a recruiting standpoint, where they are. We talked to Billy yesterday about the defensive line recruiting. Not so good as far as the future looks. And LSU. We will talk to Shea coming up about that in the second hour as well. If you have a memory from an Ole Miss game, whether it was childhood, adulthood, bringing your son, daughter, anybody, whatever the experience is on the road, in Oxford, in Baton Rouge, jump inside the chat. Let us know the year, what happened, and what your experience was like. This seems like a game that everybody has at least one story from. What's yours? Jump inside the chat and let us know it. We'll be back here, second hour. Remember, Click Here Digital. We are live every single day from our Click Here Digital campus. We love it, man. We're a part of the team over at Click Here Digital. 150 plus employees strong and growing. 20,000 plus square foot of office space over here on Interline Avenue, in between Airline Highway and Drusilla, right in the heart of Baton Rouge. Always online at clickheredigital.com. Easiest way to explain what we do over here at Click Here Digital is we make your bottom line grow. If you're a business owner, if you're if you're in the marketing department, head of the marketing department, and you're looking for a way to get the word out there, to track the analytics of what's going on with your marketing dollars, then get in touch with me over at Click Here Digital. Jordy at clickheredigital.com. We can set your Google ad campaigns. We can set your social media campaigns. We can help you with content. We can consult whatever you're looking for. We've got over 30 years of experience in working in the digital marketing space with a tremendous team. Find out today. Jordy at clickheredigital.com is the email if you want to learn directly what's going on, or if you want to just kind of surf around and find out more about it, log online. Clickheredigital.com. Clickheredigital.com online. Hour 2 next. Come back with us. If you're in the market for a mortgage lender, you need to start with Doug Bickley and his team. Bickley has built a crew with over 50 years of combined lending experience. They've been in business for over 20 years, and they love helping their clients achieve the American dream of home ownership. They're also key with working in real estate agents and helping their clients getting same-day pre-approval. They average about one buyer a day getting them in a home. If you want to get in touch with Doug and his crew, it's easy. Call them 225-214-5154. 225-214-5154. Go see the Bickley team today. They're located on the corner of Coursey Boulevard and Sherwood Forest right here in Baton Rouge.
What's up?
What's happening?
Chilling with a couple of cool guys. You?
Chilling and watching some tube. Hold on.
Did you do it?
Hold on. Did you do it?
Roof's up.
Hold on.
Roof's up?
Roof's up!
Roof's up!
Hold on. Hold on. Hold on.
Beautiful roof every single time.
True. True.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Are you looking for sound financial advice? Then get in touch with Daniel Newman of Edward Jones. You can call him today at 225-261-8262 or email him daniel.newman@edwardjones.com. If you're planning for retirement, saving for college for children or grandchildren, or just looking for sound investment opportunities, get in touch with Daniel today, 225-261-8262, located on Magnolia Square Drive in Central. Daniel Newman of Edward Jones.
Can't put the cart before the horse. That'd be like, will you marry me?
Do I know you?
Never sign a contract with a roofer before he gets on your roof. Call Go Roof instead. We offer a free, no obligation inspection. A beautiful roof every single time. Bobby, goes in the front.
Roof, roof, Go Roof.
Belmont Stakes Race Training. I'm sticking to roofing.
Roof, roof, Go Roof.
Kentucky Derby Training. I'm sticking to roofing.
Roof, roof, Go Roof.
Offensive player of the game from LSU, Joe Burrow.
Football is life. Football is Joe Burrow.
Click Here Digital, the home of the Jordy Culotta Show. Online at clickheredigital.com. If you're looking to set Google ads, set social media campaigns, learn about SEO, display video, or even creative, Click Here Digital has the answer for you. Online at clickheredigital.com or email me directly, Jordy at clickheredigital.com.
Malik Neighbors, a wide receiver.
Favorite pregame meal?
Popeyes. What would winning a national championship mean to you?
It would mean a lot to me because, we seen a lot of the greats come through here, won their national championship, got, remembered for life.
If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Probably fly. That or telekinesis.
What's the best piece of advice that you've ever received?
Do it wrong, do it long. Do it right, do it light.
Kyle Lacey, wide receiver, number 2.
Do you have any nicknames?
K2.
What's the best piece of advice that you've ever been given?
Stay humble.
If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Fly. I be flying in my dreams.
What's been the highlight of your partnership with us?
The bike giveaway was one of the best things. I was pretty excited about that one. Texas A&M, I just got a point to prove because last year I dropped 2 balls I should have caught. I'm coming for them for real.
That's it. Thank you, man.
My name is Harold Perkins, and I play linebacker.
What's your favorite pre-game meal or snack?
Pasta with a little steak, something that's not too heavy.
Any superstitions or pre-game rituals?
I pray a lot. Just be me and God before the game. Perky worky. I like when they call me the percolator. I like that.
If anyone gets in a wreck, who should they call?
Gordon.
Thanks. Where were you born at, Greg?
Hattiesburg, Mississippi. But I claim 5-0 food because I was raised there my whole life. Favorite type of food is spaghetti. But you need to try spaghetti with some corn on the side. Funniest person I'd probably get Kyron Lacey. He be having me joked out every time I talk to him.
Who's the most athletic?
Besides myself. Perk or Malik. Future self, just take one day at a time, one step at a time. If you're doing something, just be where your feet are. Make sure you give 100% effort.
What is something on your bucket list?
Win a Super Bowl. That's definitely on my bucket list.
If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Time traveling.
Who's the fastest on the team?
Like in a short span, I would say quick trigger, I'm taking Perk. One thing most people don't know about me, probably that I moved 12 times growing up, 12 different states.
Who's the most savage on the team?
Maason Smith. Maason Smith, definitely.
And who gets it done?
Gordon.
Thank you, man. That's great.
Emory Jones, right tackle.
What's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Got it from my mom, and she just told me, always keep your head on the swivel.
Favorite subject?
Math, easy. I kind of keep it light. Give me some type of red beans or something like that. Throw a little cornbread on the side.
Light with red beans.
Yeah, just a little bit. I am superstitious. I got some PSDs that's purple and yellow and white. I wear them every game. I feel like they my lucky draws, and you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna keep doing it.
Let's be special. Let's be strong. Let's smell greatness from the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9,
Hey Tiger fans, when you're traveling through Natchez, Mississippi, make sure to visit Tom and Wright Granning at Go-Mart and On The Go Deli, where you can fill up your tank and your belly. Go-Mart has clean restrooms, community coffee, an awesome beer cave, and a great selection of anything you may need on your trip. Located at 4 Sergeant Prentice Drive as you're entering Natchez on the left. Also stop by Wardo's Po' Boys at 309 North Broadway on the beautiful Natchez Bluff, where the Po' Boys are so good you'll swear you're in Cajun country.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
All right, buddy. Make it a good shot. Oh, yeah. sticking the roofing.
For a hole in your roof, for a whole new roof, go roof. Roof, roof, go roof.
Hey, Greg, the roof up?
Roof's up.
Roof's up.
Roof's up.
Roof's up.
Roof's up. Roof's up.
Beautiful roof every single time.
True. True.
All right, welcome back here to the Jordy Culotta Show as we are live here from our Click Here digital campus, and it is cool to be here on this Friday, a crisp Friday fall morning for you with a lot of football coming at you this weekend, including the LSU-Ole Miss game that'll be from Oxford, Mississippi, 5 o'clock kickoff, and we are closing in on the last 2 weeks before some big state elections. And right now, coming down the stretch of the political runway is a lot of elections, including our Attorney General, and that is a seat that is wide open. And our good friend John Stefanski, who's been a part of our show since we started, really 3 years ago, he's been coming by and been following his climb through the legislature and following some of the things that he's fighting, man. And it's something that, from a parent, a parent of a young child, I really get behind. I see how my friend John Stefanski has taken on some of the hard bills and some of the hard, some of the hard things that are being talked about up on Capitol Hill, and he's going to try and take that to the Attorney General seat. He's got my early vote, and he is here this morning to talk a little bit about what that process has been like, but we can always talk some sports with him as we go back and forth with Captain America as we see our guy here this morning. John, good to see you, man.
Good to see you as well.
How's it going? I know that since we've last spoke, since we've last seen each other, life has been crazy for you on the road.
Yeah.
And getting out and doing
state.
This. Yeah, how's it been? How's it been traveling?
It's a big state. So, I mean, you think about traveling around, you think you know the state until you actually have to start driving around and going parish by parish. I mean, it's a daunting challenge, geographically making its way through the state. And that was something that was important to me. I mean, look, a lot of the votes are in South Louisiana, but it was very important to me that I go to every single parish, make sure I have a presence there. And it's been fun, but it's been a grind. I won't lie.
Absolutely.
But look, it's such an important position, and look, most of your audience is sports, and that's what they care about. They're here to talk about LSU football this weekend, but politics and sports and just our state. If you care about Louisiana and if you care about LSU and some of our teams, you have to care about the state and you have to care about our quality of life. And that position of Attorney General affects your daily life, on so many different levels. And look, my motivation for running has always been, if I'm here and I'm in Louisiana, I'm all in. I'm all in on the fight. I want to help out as much as I can. And I believe this is the way that I can help the state the best, which is serving in this position. Fits my background really, really well. And there's just so many incredible things I want to do from that position. I mean, what's going on with crime around this state, especially in our major cities, here sitting in Baton Rouge, but especially in New Orleans and areas like Shreveport, to me are just unacceptable. What's a crazy thing is I travel this state and I talk to people no matter where you are, they all talk about the same thing, how they're fearful to travel in certain parts of our state. Yeah. And to me as a citizen, that's just unacceptable. And we have to fix it. And I think the AG's office can help a lot. That's what we're going to do. We're going to get in there and try to work with DAs and law enforcement and see how much the state can really be there to support them, how much direct effect we can have, and I'm excited about it. It's been a long journey, man. I remember the undisclosed location.
That's right.
First time I came on the house. Yeah, first time I came on the show was in a blindfold. I'm happy to see y'all do that anymore.
Right.
I don't know if I would have made
That's
it.
Right. We're growing up. We're growing up.
Y'all are. Although I'm gonna continue to say, man, we need a reunion show back in the undisclosed location.
Hey.
You need to do it. Sitting here still on. You still got one
wave. We still got some odes to the past.
General,
We still got some odes to the past.
Got the chair in the corner.
Oh yeah. Oh, it's still there.
We still got it.
Awesome.
But along that same timeline, right? I think that violent crime has become almost, like you say it, in that time period, something that was horrifying to almost now something that is accepted in the cities because nothing has been done about it. It's a hell of a fight, right?
Yeah, it's a hell of a fight, and I mean, I think what we're seeing and what we've seen over the last few years is, I don't believe some of these areas can do it on their own. I just don't. I think if you leave, let's talk about New Orleans, because New Orleans gets talked about the most. If you leave New Orleans alone and just say, hey, you need to fix this problem, and you need to elect better leaders, and all the things that are popular talking points, I'll be honest, I don't know if they can do it on their own. I think they're going to need all the help they can get. And that help's going to have to come from the state level. And so I believe the way we're going to get some of our major cities, the way that we're going to get New Orleans back to a situation where people feel safe to travel there, people feel safe to bring their kids, and are not fearful, is to use every state resource to go help them. And the AG is just in a perfect position to do that. He has an investigatory team. He has prosecutors that work under him. I want to go in and be a partner and go, hey, look, we have to fix this because the citizens are demanding it. That's the reality. As I travel and I talk to people are going, this is unacceptable and it has to be fixed. And I just, in my opinion, if we sit around and say, well, locals, New Orleans, you just need to get your stuff together. While that's true in a lot of cases, I think they need support, because as goes New Orleans and some of our major cities, goes their entire state. When New Orleans' population is growing, a lot of our state's population is growing. Absolutely. And so I'm passionate about that. Look, some of the other aspects of that office as well, they do a great job right now going after child predators. People that are trying to go after child pornography, and the people that are disseminating that across our state. They do a really good job of doing that. I think they could also be the leader on the human trafficking front. What's going on with human trafficking in this country and in this state is horrific. It's modern day slavery, that young girls are being trafficked around this country and this state. And I think the Attorney General is in a perfect spot to work on multi-parish level, work through our corridors, I-10, I-20, I-49, and really break up this stuff, do some sting operations. And that's something, I'm really excited to get in and work hard for as well.
I think in the early part of the session, you showed your commitment to it with the fentanyl bill.
Yeah.
I think that took a lot of people. I mean, somebody saw like, whoa, somebody's really taking this serious and going after it. What has kind of been not the fallout, but since that bill has been introduced and what has it been in?
Yeah, so law enforcement came to me before last session and basically said, look, I don't, we have a huge problem with fentanyl, and I continue to say, if you're 18 to 45 in this state right now, and you got a few of those guys right here, the most likely reason you're going to die is a fentanyl overdose. That is the most likely reason, not a car accident, not a plane falling from the sky, it's a fentanyl overdose. And so to me, when law enforcement approached me with that, I said, well, let's go fix it. And the easiest solution that I could look at was, let's go after the dealers, so the people who are selling it and the people who are profiting off the death of our citizens. And then secondly, let's go look at what we used to do with heroin. Heroin in Louisiana used to be life in prison if you sold heroin, and we didn't have a heroin problem. We ran it out of the state for years until we loosened the penalties on that. So we modeled it after that, and we created the toughest penalty in the entire nation. So in Louisiana, we have the harshest penalty if you distribute heroin. So it's not going after the users. I think people who use drugs have a multitude, and hard drugs I'm talking about, have a multitude of things that they're dealing with, and treatment in most cases is the solution for that. But the people that are selling it, and that's how they make their living, that's how they're profiting. Yeah, I mean, let's go after those people. And so I was proud of the work we did. It passed. Governor signed that bill, and so now in Louisiana, we really do. We kind of have a zero tolerance penalty when it comes to distribution of fentanyl now.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, no doubt. It was, and I was happy to do it, and that's what, I think what I bring to the table, with AG, I'm younger. I'm younger than I think just about every other statewide candidate that's running this year. I've my time in the legislature, I've seen issues, and I've tried to take a common sense approach to them. So, I used to come on the show all the time. We talked about sports betting.
Yep.
And to me, that was something that I talked to so many of my peers who were like, why don't we have this? This doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And that was the mindset I took towards it. And a lot of other issues that I've tackled over the years, it's just, why so many times I think in government, our leaders, they're so worried about making a mistake, or they're so worried about what someone else is going to say about them.
Yeah.
If it makes common sense, and you've run the traps, and you've analyzed it, let's just go do it. Let's move our state forward. Hey, because let's be real, it's what we're
50
doing.
out of 50.
Yeah, what we're doing, is it working?
Right.
I mean,
Right.
so why I've never understood why Louisiana is so adverse to change. Because if we were at the top ranking of all these great things, hey, let's keep it rolling. And I think candidates would be running going, hey, I just want to run the office in the same way. That's not Louisiana. We need massive change in this state. And if not now, when?
Yeah.
You know, I always say that. And I don't, look, I'm not promising the world. I'm not. I'm a hardworking, country kid. That's really what I am, you know. But I believe in this state. I believe we can be so much better. And we deserve so much better. And so, that's really what I've been pushing as I travel.
That was my attraction to him as a politician. Got to know him, and a great dude too. 2 weeks left here for the push of Election Day. How's that work for you?
Look, you try to maximize every day. I think every hour, every day, I'm trying to do something positive. But I mean, look, I told somebody this the other day. We have early voting that starts on Saturday. But I've been doing this for basically 2 years now. I've been basically running for this position. I feel really good about the work I've done. I'm really proud. We have our commercials on TV and moving all around and doing a lot of very strategic things to try to get people engaged and get people to go vote. So I feel good about the work I did. I think these last 2 weeks, look, I'm a very spiritual guy and my faith's very important to me, and so I do a lot of praying and I just try to maximize every hour. But look, at the end of the day, Attorney General would be an incredible opportunity. That's really my motivation for running is I love public service. I do. Never thought I would say that as a kid getting out of law school. I love public service, though. It's something that I really feel I've been kind of called to do. And this is the way I think I can best help the state. I think we all try to help our state and our communities in our own way. This is the way I believe I can do that.
Have you been able to keep up with sports? I know you're.
Yeah, I've been trying. I mean,
like,
I'm a big basketball. Obviously,
Yep.
I watch the LSU games. I try to find time to make sure I'm at least catching, Saturday night catching the LSU games. Although I haven't been able to make a game yet. I've caught LSU. I'm keeping up. Last week I was a little disappointed in our performance. Was hoping we would have made a stronger statement, but we still won. I think in the SEC, it really is about until you get your feet under you, making sure that you don't take losses in the SEC, especially in the SEC West. So I mean, look, I'm positive about LSU. As you know, I'm a big basketball fan. I've been continuing to try to follow, as the NBA season's coming up. We had the Dame Lillard trade.
Yeah, that's right.
And so I was surprised. I didn't think he was going to go to the Bucks.
I didn't either, but they did I saw some media that they pulled on him, and they asked him 5 years ago if you could play with one player, who would it be? And he said Giannis, which was kind of like they pulled something from the vault. Something to say that those guys have kind of been planning this, but it totally caught me off guard. I think it was kind of one of the trades that all three teams kind of won.
I think so too.
In sections,
I think it was pretty smart from a multitude of angles. And then, the other thing that was surprising, if you saw the All-Star game last year when Giannis selected Dame first, he had the first pick. So I thought that was kind of funny. Right. But look, I'm optimistic about the Pelicans. I was bummed Trey Murphy got hurt, but I'm optimistic. If Zion stays healthy, if Zion can play 60 to 70 games, or 70 is probably aggressive. If Zion can play in the 60s, I think the Pelicans are going to be really good. And then I'm watching our buddy too. He's right down the street from me now.
I know.
He's in McNeese.
I went and saw him, and I asked him if he had talked to you the day before.
Yeah, and so I had a function in Lake Charles actually, and he popped in, and so still keeping up with Coach and hoping for a lot of success for him down the road too.
And did you see Kim Mulkey's first practice?
Yeah.
2,500 people.
I know, it's crazy. We're so lucky. I mean, aren't we, as fans?
It really is.
I hope we realize what we have right now.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing with Mulkey and what she's building and the talent. I mean, there's no reason we shouldn't go on a run of every other year national championship.
Don't tell her that.
Yeah, right. Believe me. But if you look at her recruiting, I mean, it's stacking. It's stacking for years to come.
It is. And she's a great ambassador too. You know what I love to see is people that just buy in. She's a Louisiana girl. She loves this state, and I mean, for me as a citizen, also somebody that's in politics, that's just something that's amazing.
One of our listeners just said, John just got my vote. So get out and vote. Early voting starts on Saturday. Polls close on Saturday, October 14th, I believe, is Election Day. So a 2-week push here with Representative John Stefanski, who has held that seat for the last 4 years and now looking to make this run at Attorney General. It's a wide open seat. Like we said, he's a great friend, great dude, and young. He doesn't understand why the politics doesn't work in Louisiana, why it doesn't. Look, Louisiana's got a lot of stuff working for it. If we can get the politics right, it'll be scary how good we can be. So we need guys like this in seats like the Attorney General. Get out there and vote. Great to see you, man.
Yeah, great seeing you again. Thank you for having me on. And like I said, when we do that reunion show at the Undisclosed, let me know.
Yeah, absolutely. and be looking out for my text as soon as you get elected for Pelicans tickets.
Yeah.
There he is, Representative John Stefanski. 2-week push here, Attorney General. Let's get him in the seat. We'll be back with more of the Jordy Culotta Show right after this from Click Here Digital. Red Stick Sports, a local staple in Baton Rouge to all sports fans, was founded back in 1981 and has remained a family business for over 40 years. Today, they still have the great selection on the floor, but they're also a leader in custom apparel for businesses, sports teams, and other groups. Take it from us, everybody over here at FM Digital Media. They help us out with all of our apparel. Let them help you out today. Go ask for Cody over at Red Stick Sports. Check him out online at redsticksports.biz.
The Jordy Culotta Show is brought to you by A-Bears Lawn Maintenance. Commercial or residential, A-Bears Lawn Maintenance is ready to work. A-Bears can tackle all your homeowners association requirements. Call Blake at 225-485-8022. A-Bears Lawn Maintenance.
In a wreck, Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys is ready to go to work for you. Come meet your team.
I'm your intake specialist. I coordinate your case and connect you with your attorney and paralegal.
That's us, your legal team.
Thanks.
And we'll fight to get you every dollar you deserve.
I'm your settlements and disbursement manager, and I'm here to get you paid on time.
I'm attorney Gordon McKernan. Put our team to work today. Just call us. Get it done.
Hey Tiger fans, when you're traveling through Natchez, Mississippi, make sure to visit Tom and Wright Granning at Go-Mart and On The Go Deli, where you can fill up your tank and your belly. Go-Mart has clean restrooms, community coffee, an awesome beer cave, and a great selection of anything you may need on your trip. Located at 4 Sergeant Prentice Drive as you're entering Natchez on the left. Also stop by Wardo's Po' Boys at 309 North Broadway on the beautiful Natchez Bluff, where the Po' Boys are so good you'll swear you're in Cajun country.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
All right, buddy. Make it a good shot.
Oh, yeah. Sticking the roof in.
For a hole in your roof, for a whole new roof, go roof. Roof, roof, go roof.
Hey, Greg, the roof up?
Roof's up.
Roof's up.
Roof's up.
Roof's up?
Roof's up. Roof's up.
Beautiful roof every single time.
True. True.
Phil's Oyster Bar, a staple of South Louisiana since 1945, located in Southdown Shopping Center and online at philsoysterbar.com. If you log online, you can learn about the private party schedule, the catering menu, and even order online. Daily lunch specials Monday through Friday. Learn about the history when Gus Piazza took it over in the early 70s, made it an absolute stop-in for everyone who came through Baton Rouge, and now Anthony, his son, carrying on the tradition. Phil's Oyster Bar, Southdown Shopping Center, and online, philsoysterbar.com.
Let's be special. Let's be strong. Let's smell greatness from the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
right, welcome back to a Friday edition of the Jordy Culotta Show. As always, we are built by our friends over at Go Roof, online at GEAUXroof.com. Get in touch with the crew over at Go Roof by logging online or calling them at 225-927-8300. Commercial or residential roofs, they're ready for you today. Over 15 years of experience, free inspection when you get in touch with the guys over at Go Roof. And they can jump up on there and diagnose whatever problems you may be having with your roof. If you need a new one, they'll work directly with the insurance company, so they'll take that headache out for you. Get in touch with them today. Go Roof, online, GEAUXroof.com, or 225-927-8300 is the phone number that you can find them at. Shea Dixon is with us every week here, talking recruiting, talking college football, talking LSU. You can find his work at On3, and you can find him on Twitter, on X at Shea Dixon. Good morning, Shea D. How are we feeling?
He's locked into trivia.
Yeah, I'm looking at this trivia book.
It's the first one that grabs your eye.
I don't know. Well, I just go to a random page, and then I'm just going to
hit me.
Quiz time. And I mean, have you already read the book?
I have not.
I remember back in the day. Do you remember those Brain Quest games people had?
Absolutely.
You know, where you like spun the pages. I would just memorize all of the answers. So then when it came time for my mom to like quiz the family, I'd just crush it.
That Dixon kid.
It's like the when you would go do your homework for math and they had all the odd questions in the back of the book, and you're like, let me get these out the way.
Right.
Steal these
I
odds.
definitely know number 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9 for sure.
Anybody got the evens? What's up?
Yeah. Right. Who did the homework? You could do 1 through 64 evens only. It's like, I'm not doing that homework.
Yep.
You give me the odds, though. Show your work. Got the answer.
How we doing, Shady?
Doing well. What's up with you guys?
Doing good, man. Get ready for the weekend. Any games outside of LSU-Ole Miss jump out to you? I know you don't have the docket in front of you, but I mean, just
I don't. Gosh, who else is?
I mean, you got Arkansas, Texas A&M in the league.
With Max
is one with Max Johnson. I got one for you real quick. You think Max Johnson will play in the league?
Do you think he'll get drafted?
No, forget drafted. You think he'll be on a roster?
There you go.
This is a tough one.
That's tough. Maybe.
Forget maybe. I need a yes or no.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. There you go, Brandon Hollingsworth. One for the home team. All right, from a recruiting standpoint.
Everybody else say no?
No, me and Hollingsworth got a little bet. He's saying no. I'm saying yes.
I'm saying Brad Johnson pulls some strings for the Bucks. Watch out.
No way. NFL ain't doing nobody any favors.
Trick shot king can't get him in.
Big bad Brad.
We were
popular demand.
I was talking to Billy earlier this week, and obviously diving into some of the recruiting stuff. I know the Shone Washington story. I want to get to you on that, but this defensive line stuff right now for LSU seems desperate. Is it bad? Is it as bad as it seems? Just kind of on the surface, like the Gabriel Relaford guy, they're outside looking in. Dominic McKinley seems to have shut it down. They're now on Shone Washington. Who else is on the board here from a defensive line standpoint that they can make some moves on?
Yeah, I mean, they're still going to keep an eye out on senior evals beyond Louisiana. Even guys do pop up and start playing really well that then go from G5 type players who all of a sudden start picking up a lot of offers from teams. And this happens at a lot of positions where teams are like, hey, we need a corner, and this kid's popping up in Georgia and going off. Like, all of a sudden he gets 15 offers and his whole recruitment changes. So there's always that. I think with defensive line, one, I was talking to Charles Power, our national director of scouting, about this yesterday. There is a national shortage of D linemen. We're not talking edge rushers, DTs, nose tackles. Guys. He said on average each class there might be 10 out there that you would say are like dudes, right? Like 10, 15 guys. Then there's a huge pool where it's just up to your staff to eval and say, hey, we like this guy, or he's from our area, or whatever it might be. So that combined with, and I keep saying it, it's true, turnover every year at defensive line coach. And then obviously with Jimmy Lindsey being out, puts them behind the 8 ball every single cycle.
Yeah.
And that's tough to come back from. But I think what stings right now isn't that, and I remind people of this, rankings aren't finalized. For instance, Tradez Green jumped 100 spots on 3 this past week. He's tearing it up at Zachary.
People at Zachary are freaking out over him. I was trading text messages with the guy in Zachary. They were like, We've
found
seen a lot
something.
of good football over the last decade. This guy is different.
So did I tell you all my story about going out to the
No, tell me.
St. Aug Zachary game?
No, tell me.
It was the night of the U-High Catholic game.
Okay, yeah.
So
which was a great game.
yeah, my dad hits me up, and we don't go watch high school football together very often, but it said, you want to go watch a game? And U-High Catholic's right here down the block. I said, actually, I got to go out to Zachary because I want to see Trey Green and then Jakeem Stewart, who's the number 1 D lineman in the country for St. Aug.
Sophomore, right?
Is a sophomore, and he sat out his freshman year because of transfer rules. So they're just a few weeks into the season. So I was like, I'll get to see him for the first time in Trey So we go up there, and my dad's from Norco. He went to Destrehan way back in the day, but he's like, let's go sit on the St. Aug side. And I was like, all right, I'm going to go walk around on the field. Well, Trey is Brewerton coach's decision. He's out for the game. He's dressed out, but he's not ever getting in the game. So I'm bummed out there. So I was like, all right, well, let's just sit up here on the St. Aug side and we'll watch Jakeem. And we're not 10, 15 minutes in, and someone's like, so what are y'all doing here, like, to us in the St. Aug area? And we're like, we're watching Jakeem, and they're like, nice. And they're like, what are you looking for? And my dad, without hesitation, just turns around and goes, recruiting him to Destrehan. About 5 people are like, the hell you ain't recruiting. Oh, man. But he was good. He flashed. Zachary won.
Your dad flashed for sure.
My dad flashed. We were the hit of the section.
8 minutes left in the first.
Yeah.
Jeez.
I was like,
it'll be a long night.
That's Shea Dixon.
I thought when he was about to speak that he was like, "Oh, my son here," and no, he's coming straight for the jugular.
We're here to pick up oats.
Yeah.
I mean, LSU's not going to miss on him, are they? For God's sake,
I
can't miss on the number 1
You
defensive
can't miss
tackle
on
out of New Orleans.
out of St. Aug.
Jeez.
So, but back to the thing, it's a combination of a lot of these things, and as I said with rankings, Trey could fit. Like a lot of people are saying, well, you're going to lose the number 1 player in the state in Dominic McKinley. I don't think rankings are the end-all, be-all anyways, but McKinley shifted back a good bit in the rankings. Trey is only 2 spots nationally behind him. Trey could be the number 1 player in the state. My argument isn't that, you might miss on the number 1 player in the state and, that stings. It's no matter where Dom McKinley or Gabe Relaford, who I love, are ranked in the top 10, yeah, you're missing on 2 top 10 guys, but they're defensive linemen. That's what hurts. Like, people are not freaking out that Wardell Mack is not committed as much as they are these defensive linemen, because you have a shortage of defensive linemen that you've had to go into the portal to fix the issue each year. We'll see what happens between now and signing day, but they have to. Flipping Relaford would be massive, I think. I think that's the one.
Can they do it?
They could, I guess. I mean, he did call LSU his dream school. When I've talked to him, it was, I've always wanted this offer. But believe it, that A&M is putting in his head, yeah, they waited. We didn't. We offered. We committed.
They didn't want you.
You know, after you were committed and they didn't have other guys, they went after you. So they're having to battle that pitch. And as an Evangel kid, it's not like he's down the block. So, I mean, he can get to A&M and LSU pretty easily. Already made visits to both. And we'll see. They're going to go all out. But, yes, if there is one kind of spot you point to and say, man, year after year right now, it's just not panning out, it's D-line. But it was really funny. I went through and dug through all of the top 2 defensive linemen in Louisiana over the past 10 years. Now, granted, Maason Smith and Guillory and Savion Jones, they're all still on the team right now. So let's say across 8 years, only one guy started more than 14 games, meaning gave you more than a season. It wasn't Roy.
It was not Roy?
I think Roy had 13 or 14.
Was it Rashard Lawrence?
It's Rashard Lawrence. Started 30-something games.
Good pull, Stewie.
Good pull. That wasn't even in the book. That was new.
Right, that's an updated version.
Put that,
write that one in.
That's the one. That's the only one I could think about that. Actually
so even across those times when they were signing during the O years, a lot of the top 2 players every year, it was Davin Cotton and Ed Alexander and guys who you felt great about coming out of high school, and they were big gets, and then it did for whatever reason just doesn't pan out. So shout out Rashard Lawrence.
Yeah, still collecting checks. Is there any update on Jimmy Lindsey?
I don't have a health update.
Yeah.
And I don't believe he's obviously at the office grinding every day, but kids who are getting offered right now are saying, like a couple of defensive linemen have been offered. Sean Washington got offered, and they said that they talked to him on the phone. So he's involved, which is good news, right? That he's able to at least start to work his way back into doing some recruiting and helping out on that end.
Where, from a defensive back standpoint, it seems like from the same argument is being made from Louisiana DBs that we're talking about with Louisiana DTs, right? That they need to start being able to clean up in that department as well. They've missed in the cycle over the last 2 years, guys like Jordan Matthews last year, even a guy like the outsider.
Derek Williams went to Texas.
Yeah, Derek Williams is another one. Even the guy outside the state, who I don't know why I'm drawing a blank, went to Bama, number one corner in the country, was committed to LSU.
Ricks?
Desmond Ricks.
Desmond Ricks.
Oh, Desmond Ricks. I was supposed to say Eli.
Yeah.
Ended up going to Bama.
I mean, what is going on from that standpoint and what's on the horizon there on how they can get back into the mix?
Yeah, I think their class this year is very good. They've got Kai Bates, who's one of the better corners in the country out of Florida. They got Andre Evans out of Tennessee, who's one of the better corners out there. Juwan Johnson, who is the best player right now in the state of Louisiana. He'll play corner. And then they've got Wallace Foster coming out of Warren Easton, who's more of a nickel. Then they just offered B.B. Causey, who plays over at Kennedy in New Orleans. And he tested really well at camp. He looked good. I was there. I saw it with my own eyes. But he was coming off a year where he was injured, so it's very common practice that they would say, all right, we've got all your measurements. We've worked you out in person. Let us watch a few of your games as a senior, and then we'll make a move. And that's what they did. They watched 4 games, and he looked good. Everybody in New Orleans says he's looked very solid. He's been committed to Pete Golden and Ole Miss for a while now, but LSU made the offer, and I'm close to predicting him to LSU. I don't know if it happens today or tomorrow or next week, but he may take a little time with it. But, again, this is a New Orleans kid who, when you get that offer, it's a big one. And he trains with a lot of the kids who, well, Greg Brooks, but then like Wallace Foster, we think Ashton Stamps. They all
that's like that's like Justin Jefferson in them, right?
Yeah, Justin Jefferson comes back. It's all what's his name? Dad played here. He went to Bama. He didn't get an offer from LSU, but
is it like DP training or something?
Yeah, what's his name?
I forget his name too.
Why am I blanking here? Bama DB came back to New Orleans and now trains all the kids. And he's been great to LSU. He was the one who brought Stamps over and worked him out time and again at camp and got him offered.
It wasn't Bradley Silv, was it?
No. This is older than that. Oh, why am I blanking? I feel bad here. I can double back to it. But
Roman Harper.
No. Anyhow, he's been helping out big time, and he's one of his kids. So they felt good. Did enough research, felt good about it, offered him. And so you're going to come away with a number of corners in this class, 4 or 5. And that's good because you have to start rebuilding from high school. It can't be portal every year, right, and then you're banking on it working. It's just not going to hit for you every year.
Holy Bull, hashtag
Holy
Ask
Bull,
Shea.
what's up, man?
Who's more likely to sign at LSU, Underwood or McIntyre? These are the 2 5-star quarterbacks?
Yes. Oh, man, I'll say this, that I think that both are very aware right now that LSU has a top 5 offense in the country, that Jaden Daniels is a top 5 quarterback in the country, that 2 of the top 10 receivers and touchdowns, and if you branch it out to total yards and top 20 guys, and Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas, the weapons that are down here and what they're doing with them. Now, granted, Underwood and McIntyre are juniors. Well, here's the pitch. This past weekend, for instance, LSU already has Ja'Cory Moore, a 5-star receiver, committed. They had Caleb Cunningham, the number 2 receiver in the country, on campus. For the Bayou Splash, they had 4 of the top 12 receivers in the country on campus. Then you've got the number 1 running back in America, Harlem Berry in New Orleans, that's, in my opinion, going to play at LSU. Another top 10 back in James Simon, who I think they get out of North Louisiana. If you're a quarterback, right, and we're saying, we got you the number 1 and 2 top 10 running backs, including number 1. Got you 3 receivers who are all top 10 players. You've got you Kamorian Pimpton to Trades Green to like tight end, J.D. LaFleur. The O-line has been recruiting better than we've seen in a decade. You're just that piece is what you need to hit on. So I think the sell is that, hey, look, once Nussmeier's done, you step in and all these guys are at your disposal, and that's what, coupled with them actually playing very well now, has their attention. I'll go, that's tough.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go Underwood.
But they get one, in your opinion.
I don't know about that, but I do think that maybe I'd give a slight edge to Underwood as being maybe. That's my guess.
Chili, hashtag Ask Shea. Ask Shea about the defensive lineman, Xavion Hardy.
I don't know. I'm going to have it in front of me. Is this a kid out of Florida? I think I saw some people bringing him up.
Andrew Messina, the Colin Simmons boat has sailed, right?
Yes. Yes. Dude, what was the name of that kid?
Xavion Hardy.
Let's see him.
From Georgia.
Their offensive line recruiting, you mentioned it, it's been the best in a decade.
Oh, yeah. Okay, Xavion Hardy, 23, uncommitted. Okay, this is a kid I will former South Carolina pick.
Oh, there you go.
Okay, so he's in JUCO right now. Okay, so then they could bounce around to some JUCOs. Actually, this is a kid that I do know who this kid is now. He's also at East Mississippi with Sean Washington. I do believe also that this kid's picked up a ton of offers. So, yeah, they could jump in the mix. People forget about JUCO right now because a lot of these kids.
Portal or high school?
Well, when you go through the portal, too, and this, I firmly believe this will be the case, which I think gives JUCO a chance to kind of have a little bit of a resurgence to a degree. If I'm coming out of the portal from Georgia, let's say, Sean Washington's case, and my offers are coming from lower than Georgia. Now, everybody, I guess, could be lower than Georgia, but
mid-major, Marshall,
lower level Power 5 teams, all that. I'm going JUCO, putting out a year of film, and then having everybody jump back on me, and that's the case. He's now got LSU offers, and kids like this are picking up offers from SEC schools. So I think JUCO is going to be a spot where people say, hey, I don't love my options in the portal right now. It's a short window. Let me just go put a year of film out there, and I'll reassess when more teams are in the mix a year from now. So that's something to keep an eye on. JUCO ain't dead yet. In fact, I think it's going to have a little bit of a resurgence.
Might have a little juice to it. What's the schedule like right now for recruiting? Like, are they going to games tonight?
No, because they're on the road. So unless they were like dipping out somewhere in North Mississippi, they're staying in Memphis, and then so I guess I could get out and see somebody in Memphis.
Dex
if they want.
Thibodeau pulled it. Robbie Green from John Curtis.
Robbie Green is exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Sorry that I couldn't come up with that name, but Robbie Green. So he's been great to LSU, even as a Bama guy.
Thank you, Dex.
Trains those guys up, and all those guys are buddies, so that kind of helps out.
Hashtag Ask Shea. What about Zion Grady?
He is one of the guys that they offered. I wish I would have just brought my computer in front of me. Is he one of the Florida kids?
Alabama.
There's I don't think his last name was. It might be from Alabama, but it won't be who I'm thinking of. Troy, Alabama, Zion Grady, edge. Well, this is 2025, so we're getting ahead of ourselves there.
Yeah.
I think that the focus right now has to be on 2024.
They need 2024 defensive linemen. John Bro, hashtag Ask Shea. I don't mean to be putting you on the spot. We can kill this segment if you need your computer.
No.
Ole Miss commitment, Bernard Causey.
Yeah,
can they
so
flip
I know
him?
about this one. Yeah, I think they flip him. BB Causey. That's who we talked about them offering. They've already flipped one Ole Miss commit in Joe Cryer. This would be the other that I think that they can pull off. And Ole Miss has a number of Louisiana commits. As soon as they hired Pete Golden, he was like, let me make some calls. I'll get you some commits, Lane. And they stacked up some guys.
All right, so what's the football weekend like for you? Are you just TV sets everywhere here? I mean, I remember back in the day we used to make these road trips. You don't do this anymore.
Yep. Now that was when I was the young bucks, so now we've got the younger bucks that go and experience all that and have fun with it.
The post game podcast is fantastic.
Thank you.
It's fantastic.
It's quick and easy,
but it's good. It's good at real reaction.
Right. So we do that each time. Let's see. I'll be, what is it, a 5 o'clock game?
5 o'clock game.
So I'd be taking in some other games, talking with folks. And with it not being a home game, a lot of what we do on home games is just kind of track the recruits that come in, get down on the sidelines, get an eye on them, and then kind of get on our way with covering the game, and then recruits react, which we'll have that. But boy, this is a big one. This is a big one, and much bigger for Ole Miss than LSU, I think, because Ole Miss has an SEC loss. But with the West being wide open right now, boy, you win this game, you stay in that driver's seat for a little bit, I think, because I don't think Auburn is going to be a test. Missouri will be interesting, but you get through that, you get through Army, and might have a chance to head to Tuscaloosa, sitting at 7-1, which is what people may have predicted before the year, but certainly not after the panic mode of Florida State.
Yeah. Shea Dixon, he is at On3. He is on Twitter at Shea Dixon. They do the post-game podcast at On3 that you can catch following each LSU game. So make sure and follow them all over the internet, where you can get them at on3.com, all over social media at On3, and, of course, Shea Dixon at Shea Dixon is where you can find them. Good to see you, buddy.
Yeah, I'm sorry that I didn't come. I've got my phone, so I can Google these kids. But, yeah, I'll keep an eye for whoever asks about that JUCO defensive lineman, because he is on Washington's team. There's a couple kids at Hutchinson, JUCO, that they're kind of the premier one right now that LSU could take a look at. So between portal, JUCO, and high school, you've got options. Right. It's just about how you want to build your program, and when you and we know Brian Kelly wants to build it through high schoolers, but if you miss or if you don't hit, you've got to go out there and figure it out at another level. And JUCO and the portal are going to give it to you.
Ben Mintz next here giving us our picks.
I thought Ben Mintz had a question.
He probably does.
Ole Miss LSU.
Where's my phone would be his question.
Recruiting question.
He doesn't have his laptop. He found his phone.
Y'all going live with him? Or?
It's going to be a phone call. Yes. Come back with us. Shea Dixon next here from Click Here Digital Studios. Ben Mintz.
If you're in the market for a mortgage lender, you need to start with Doug Bickley and his team. Bickley has built a crew with over 50 years of combined lending experience. They've been in business for over 20 years, and they love helping their clients achieve the American dream of home ownership. They're also key with working in real estate agents and helping their clients getting same-day pre-approval. They average about one buyer a day getting them in a home. If you want to get in touch with Doug and his crew, it's easy. Call them 225-214-5154. 225-214-5154. Go see the Bickley team today. They're located on the corner of Coursey Boulevard and Sherwood Forest right here in Baton Rouge.
What's up?
What's happening?
Chilling with a couple of cool guys. You?
Chilling and watching some tube. Hold on. Did you do it? Hold on. Did you do it?
Roof's up.
Hold on.
Roof's up.
Roof's up.
Roof's up.
Hold on. Hold on. Hold on.
Beautiful roof every single time.
True. True.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Are you looking for sound financial advice? Then get in touch with Daniel Newman of Edward Jones. You can call him today at 225-261-8262 or email him daniel.newman@edwardjones.com. If you're planning for retirement, saving for college for children or grandchildren, or just looking for sound investment opportunities, get in touch with Daniel today, 225-261-8262, located on Magnolia Square Drive in Central. Daniel Newman of Edward Jones.
Can't put the cart before the horse. That'd be like, will you marry me?
Do I know you?
Never sign a contract with a roofer before he gets on your roof. Call Go Roof instead. We offer a free, no-obligation inspection. A beautiful roof every single time. Bobby, goes in the front.
Roof, roof, your roof.
Belmont Stakes Race Trainer. sticking to roofing.
Roof, roof, go roof.
Kentucky Derby training. I'm sticking to roofing.
Roof, roof, go roof.
Offensive player of the game from LSU, Joe Burrow.
Football is life, man. Football is Joe Burrow.
Click Here Digital, the home of the Jordy Culotta Show. Online at clickheredigital.com. If you're looking to set Google ads, set social media campaigns, learn about SEO, display video, or even creative, Click Here Digital has the answer for you. Online at clickheredigital.com or email me directly, Jordy at clickheredigital.com.
Malik Neighbors, a wide receiver.
Favorite pregame meal?
Popeyes.
What would winning a national championship mean to you?
It would mean a lot to me because, we seen a lot of the greats come through here, won their national championship, got, remembered for life.
If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Probably fly. That or telekinesis.
What's the best piece of advice that you've ever received?
Do it wrong, do it long. Do it right, do it light.
Kyle Lacey, wide receiver, number 2.
Do you have any nicknames?
K2.
What's the best piece of advice that you've ever been given?
Stay humble.
If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Fly. I be flying in my dreams.
What's been the highlight of your partnership with us?
The bike giveaway was one of the best things. I was pretty excited about that one. Texas A&M, I just got a point to prove because last year I dropped 2 balls I should have caught. I'm coming for them for real.
That's it. Thank you, man.
My name is Harold Perkins, and I play linebacker.
What's your favorite pre-game meal or snack?
Pasta with a little steak, something that's not too heavy.
Any superstitions or pre-game rituals?
I pray a lot. Just be me and God before the game. Perky worky. I like when they call me the percolator. I like that.
If anyone gets in a wreck, who should they call?
Gordon.
Thanks. Where were you born at, Greg?
Hattiesburg, Mississippi. But I claim 504 food because I was raised there my whole life. Favorite type of food is spaghetti. But you need to try spaghetti with some corn on the side. Funniest person, I'd probably get Kyron Lacey. He be having joked out every time I talk to him.
Who's the most athletic?
Besides myself, Perk or Malik. Future self, just take one day at a time, one step at a time. If you're doing something, just be where your feet are. Make sure you give 100% effort.
What is something on your bucket list?
Win a Super Bowl. That's definitely on my bucket list.
If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Time traveling.
Who's the fastest on the team?
Like in a short span, I would say quick trigger, I'm taking Perk. One thing most people don't know about me, probably that I moved 12 times growing up, 12 different states.
Who's the most savage on the team?
Maason Smith. Maason Smith, definitely.
And who gets it done?
Gordon.
Thank you, man. That's great.
Emory Jones, right tackle.
What's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Got it from my mom, and she just told me, always keep your head on the swivel.
Favorite subject?
Math, easy. I kind of keep it light. Give me some type of red beans or something like that. Throw a little cornbread on the side.
Light with red beans.
Yeah, just a little bit. I am superstitious. I got some PSDs that's purple and yellow and white. I wear them every game. I feel like they my lucky draws, and you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna keep doing it.
Let's be special. Let's be strong. Let's smell greatness from the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8,
right, welcome back here. Jordy Culotta Show on this Friday. A little extended session for you here, going into the 9 o'clock hour as our boy Ben Mintz can't get out of here without his 6-pack of winners. Shout out to my crew over at the Flower Fest. I'm in the field this year, an honoree. I walked into this room last night, boys. You talk about a fish out of water. Everybody's dressed to the nines. Everybody's pretty people. It's St. Jude Children's Hospital benefit. Flower Fest. Yes, just like this. I had this one with a sport coat.
Mincy, turn that thing for me.
Do you just keep it in your car?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a smart move.
I mean, remember, I used to keep it on back in my office at the government spot.
It's cool, Mincy. It's cool.
Is he going video?
Yeah, he's going video.
Okay. Well, I thought the whole thing was. I thought the whole thing was.
We get a little Shot-Town tour.
The whole deal was supposed to be audio.
He's trying to talk to us, but let's just get him on here, Mincy.
Okay. All right.
Welcome to the show, Mincy. We're live,
buddy. You are in Chi-Town.
I'm walking around the square on a beautiful Friday morning in Oxford, Mississippi. Wish y'all were all up here for sure.
There he is. Yeah, I see it, buddy. How long have you been there?
Man, I got here last night about 5. Had a reunion dinner with Tim Elko and Kevin Graham, the national champions of City Grocery last night. Jordy, quite a scene. I'm staying at this place called Castle Hill. Like, I feel like I'm, like, staying in a castle. And then, like, the chef just sends us out this 5-course, like, champions dinner for Elko, Graham, and me, like, sitting in the front of grocery. We've come a long way last year.
I'm telling you. What are y'all saying at John Grisham's house?
I know. It's wild. Yeah, it's like this wedding venue, but it's awesome. And, now I'm up walking around the square. It's a beautiful Friday morning. And, man, we got a wild game on our hands here, man. I think, Vegas put such a rat line out at LSU by 2.5. It actually gave me a little confidence on Ole Miss when I saw it. Even though Ole Miss obviously fell off a cliff in the second half last week. Just last year, I mean, we all know. Look, what LSU did to Ole Miss in that second half last year in Death Valley, it was a lot like the Florida State LSU second half they just dealt with, where you just get beat within an inch of your life. And obviously Lane and the boys are going to have to remember that, but that doesn't necessarily mean they figured out how to block Harold Perkins. And the game's going to come down to the LSU pass rush. Against Ole Miss's O-line's been struggling. The running game really didn't get going against Bama or Tulane. And I think the game's going to be won or lost whether they can block Perkins and those guys, because LSU secondary looks really exploitable.
Mincy, answer this for me, and we had a little theory on this. LSU fans have a little PTSD of building up this Alabama game for a long time under the Les Miles regime, where it was kind of like, LSU's Super Bowl, and then they would ultimately go fall flat in the game, either lose a close one or just get blown out, and the season would kind of fall apart. Lane Kiffin has taken that same model where he builds that game up for Ole Miss, and really from a social media standpoint, we haven't really seen him this week. We saw a lot of him last week. What's the feedback of Kiffin now in this game 0-5 after being very loud on social throughout this contest?
Man, there are a lot of angry Ole Miss fans this week. It's kind of one of those things just because of the way the game happened last week. Because, you look at, they brought Pete Golding in, Hammond guy. Obviously, that's Louisiana ties. Yeah. But, they held Alabama to 24 points and 130 yards rushing. I know Alabama doesn't have their typical, awesome offense because the quarterback play and their skill guys aren't what they usually are. But when you go to Alabama and you hold them to 24 points and 130 yards rushing, that should win you the game, especially when you have Lane Kiffin's offense. But there's a lot of bad feedback, especially on the second half. Ole Miss went 3 and out a ton. And, the thing with Lane Kiffin, who I obviously love regardless of whether he lost that Bama game, because everything he's done for our Ole Miss's brand nationally. But when you look at Lane's, record and history, he's really good. He wins all the games he's supposed to win, but he has not done that well as an underdog against top 10, top 20 teams. And I think the people here, after he got $9 million a year and flirted with the Auburn job and all that, people are a little restless, weren't ready for him to win a big game. Because, even you look at this whole era, Ole Miss went 10-2 and went to the Sugar Bowl a few years ago, but, what's Lane Kiffin's most signature win at Ole Miss? It's you really have to think about it very, very hard. Because, he's won a lot of games, but he hadn't beaten any elite teams.
How big of a game is this weekend for him?
I think it's huge.
Yeah,
because you're looking at a situation with Ole Miss. I think it's huge. I think the season could go south. Arkansas comes up here next week, and as LSU saw last week, Arkansas Ole Miss is a lot like Arkansas LSU. Man, they always come to play. And, I mean, if Ole Miss gets blown out at home here, this season could go south in a hurry. But I feel like, the way I like to look at things, I mean, I think you're going to see a really good Ole Miss effort here. They know it. Ole Miss, the other thing with Lane and Ole Miss has been really, really good at home with Lane, and they struggle on the road. So I think, I've seen a lot of wild LSU-Ole Miss games through the years that come down to the last possession, and I kind of think we got a similar situation to what happened. I was in Death Valley last Saturday. I think we're going to see another game that could be in the 30s that kind of comes down to the end here is what I think's coming.
Mintz, is the baby blue headgear, the red tops, and the gray bottoms the best uniform kit Ole Miss football has?
I think so. People argue. I'm not as big on the Navy. I like it. I like the baby blue, the powder blue, way more than the Navy. I think the Navy. Well, I'm enjoying my Navy shirt I'm wearing right now as my Stella Blue Big Cat shirt because it makes me look slim. But
no, it doesn't. Mintz, the work ethic does these days, buddy.
Yeah, that's true too, man. Oh man, yeah, I feel
you look fantastic.
But yeah, thank you. But yeah, I love the top end. I know. Y'all know a lot of LSU people coming up this weekend. I know some for sure.
I've talked to some people that are making the trip. It's a younger push who make these trips.
Yeah,
but it'll be.
The Oxford one's always a little. The Oxford one's always tough on the road because it's like, it's not easy to fly into and the lodging's so bad. It's like kind of tough for road fans just because it's like the logistics are rough. But I expect a lot of purple and gold in the Grove tomorrow, and I mean, it's just my favorite weekend of the year. Jordy, this is a good stat for you. Since the year 2000, this is my 21st LSU-Ole Miss game in 24 years.
Wow.
I skipped 2011 when LSU kneeled it with 3 or 4 minutes left because I knew that was the worst Ole Miss team I'd ever seen. I was playing a World Poker Tour event in Jacksonville, Florida. I was like, man, I ain't readjusting my schedule to see what's going to happen here. And then I missed 2016 and I missed 2018, so I missed 3.
Take me back to 2003. Take me back to 03. You were they're honoring that team this weekend, correct?
Well, how do you pick? I love my alma mater. Hell, I spent 10 years here. How do you pick this weekend to honor the 03 team? You out of your freaking mind? Look, the Ole Miss 03 team won 10 games. They went in the swamp and won. They blew out Alabama for the first time ever. They smacked State in the Egg Bowl in the rain. Honor all that. But their biggest legacy is choking the LSU game. There ain't no getting around it. That was 20-year-old me. I'm 40 years old now, and you hear how heated I am talking about this game 20 years later? I'm still not over it. That was the biggest home game in Ole Miss history, and you got a Lou Groza, a kicker, misses like 3 field goals, and then the game's on the line on 4th and 10, and David Cutcliffe doesn't put Eli in a shotgun, and Ole Miss loses when the right guard steps on Eli's foot. I mean, it was... Yeah, and that was the rowdiest Oxford's ever been, and then LSU just goes and wins the national championship, and Ole Miss still has never made it to Atlanta. So, it's 20 years later, and I'm still half my life ago, and I'm still pissed about that game. And how are you going to honor the 03 team when you're playing LSU? I literally wrote a Barstool blog about how dumb I thought it was. That's how agitated it got me.
Hey,
I didn't leave my room in the frat house till Wednesday.
But I was still awake.
I was like... Yeah, that was like back, nowadays, I mean, I still, I'm up and down with the wins and losses, but, 40 years old, you kind of take it a little better. Back then, man, I mean, there was nothing more important to me in my life.
The LSU 2003 squad still so good, they're still kicking Ole Miss's ass. Look at the reaction.
Oh, man, I'm still flustered. I'm not going to sit here and deny it the least.
Heads up, here comes Marcus Spears off the edge, Mintz.
Yeah, I mean, it's just unbelievable.
Chad Lavallee, a nightmare.
Yeah, that started it for LSU,
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
That was the beginning of all of it.
Mincy, you got a 6-pack for us?
Yeah, I've got a 6-pack. I'm ready to roll it.
Who we
First
like?
Game.
Let's roll.
All right. Three college. First game, boy, I think Clemson's got a weird one. You lose, you get your hearts ripped out in overtime against an arch rival like that against Florida State. Then you got an 11 a.m. trip to the Carrier Dome in Syracuse when you've already lost 2 games, and now you're not playing for the playoffs for the ACC. Man, give me Syracuse plus 6.5 for sure. They're 4-0. They're going to be ready to go at home, and that's just a weird spot. Next up, Arkansas A&M. They play in Dallas every year because the Jerry Jones 10-year commitment. I'm banging. It's over, dude. How about Max Johnson? Didn't realize he was still playing college football.
Mincy,
yeah,
real quick. Will Max Johnson collect a check?
Real quick.
Will Max Johnson collect a check to play football? Do you think will he be on a roster in the NFL?
I think so. I think he looks like a guy that's like a backup quarterback that just hangs around for a long time.
Thank you, Mintzy. Play 2. Who we got?
All right. Over 53.5 in A&M Arkansas. That's too low in Dallas on the fast track. Max Johnson looked good throwing the ball with Petrino. A&M's offense has improved a ton with Petrino. Their defense is kind of cratering a little bit. We saw how well KJ Jefferson played last week, and Arkansas's defense sucks. So that over-under is way too low at 53.5. I like under 45.5 in Georgia-Auburn at Auburn. Boy, man, I thought Peyton Thorne was going to be better for Auburn. He got benched for Robbie Ashford last week. Auburn's just a mess on offense right now. But, we've seen through the years how hard they play at home. They're playing an arch rival in Georgia. I still have some questions about Georgia's offense, losing Bennett and losing Todd Monken, who I thought was an elite offensive coordinator. I think Mike Bobo completely stinks. I have no idea where they hired him. So I'm going under there. NFL, 3 picks. Jacksonville's playing Atlanta and London. Jacksonville's for some reason, they've been terrible through the years, but they always win that London game. They're kind of like the London. They always play one home game. I was high on the Jags coming into the year. Boy, it's been a rough start, but right after that disastrous loss against Houston, Doug Peterson said, the hell with me not calling the plays. He yanked the play calling from the offensive coordinator, and he's calling plays again, and that's good enough for me to take Jacksonville -3. Look for Calvin Ridley against Atlanta to go off against his old team. 2 other plays. I'm taking Buffalo -2.5 home against Miami.
Wow.
Only just like Buffalo's so good. Well, Buffalo's just so good at home. And I'm just fading Miami off the 70 last week with them being America's darlings and everybody in the world saying they're unbeatable. I know they're a great team, don't get me wrong, but I just feel like you never get the Bills by under 3 at home, and they're tough at home, and I just think they're the right side. And my last one's a little weird. I'm actually taking Houston +3 against Pittsburgh at home. The Steelers under Tomlin, great underdog. We saw them win twice in a row as an underdog. Bad favorite on the road, and I kind of like what I'm seeing out of C.J. Stroud. I was pretty outspoken that I was not a Bryce Young NFL fan, and I thought Carolina took the wrong guy. And, so far I like the way Stroud's playing, and I think Houston pulls an upset on Sunday.
All right, to recap, college football, mid-season 6-pack of picks. Clemson-Syracuse, he had Syracuse +6.5. Arkansas and A&M, I love this over call. He has Arkansas A&M, the over at 53.5 in Jerry's World. Georgia-Auburn, he's taking the under at 45.5 going against Bobo. And in the NFL, Jacksonville Jaguars, Atlanta Falcons in London. He has the Jags -3. We're jagging off. Buffalo, Miami. He has Buffalo -2. And then Houston, Pittsburgh. He has Houston in an upset.
Ben Mintz from a blue sky, Oxford, Mississippi. It looks like a beautiful Friday, Mintz. Enjoy the day. Enjoy the Grove. Be the superstar you are, bro. It's great to see you. Thank you.
Ole Miss LSU.
Oh man, what a weekend to be! Man, it's always my favorite weekend of the year. I wish y'all were up here, but thank y'all for having me. Loving bringing back the Friday morning 6-pack. It feels like old times. Thank y'all. Thank y'all again.
Buddy, who do you like in this one? Ole Miss, LSU.
Well, I lean Ole Miss +2.5 only because my only analysis is because the line Vegas put such a rat line on this game. Mm-hmm. How is LSU 2.5 here?
Yeah.
I thought it would be LSU by 4 or 5, and when it came out at 2.5. The road favorite by 2.5 thing is always the number one sucker line because they're just baiting all the suckers to say, hey, look how bad Ole Miss looked last week. LSU just has to win the game and you win. And so I'm literally just reading the line and that makes me like Ole Miss. But then when you look on the field, I don't know. Like I said, it's all if Ole Miss's O-line can block that LSU pass rush. Because that's where this game's going to come down to, I think.
Barstool's finest. Enjoy the weekend, buddy. We'll see you next week.
Gotta get revenge for 20 years ago. Honey Toddy.
I love it.
Flags fly forever.
2003 team still kicking ass in Oxford. Still winning in Oxford 20 years later.
It's like watching Rain Man.
Team's so good. They're still coming in there wrecking havoc. Michael Clayton just caught another pass, Mincy.
Corey Webster's still lurking.
Cameron Vaughn with another tackle.
He's thought about this game so much. He's like, David Cutcliffe didn't even have him in shotgun. That was the answer. It wasn't. Why did they put him under center?
I love it.
It's like when I was a Titans fan when I was a child. And then it's like, why don't you throw to Yancey Thigpen against the Rams in the Super Bowl? Kevin Dyson was going to be short. Frank Wycheck was open in the corner.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Atlanta.
Things you remember.
Atlanta.
Yeah.
Have a good day. All right. So Ole Miss LSU. That line does stink.
That stinks.
That is a stinky line. Would make you tend to lean towards Ole Miss there. I think LSU's got the better team again. I think they take the better team into Oxford.
It's going to come down to the D-line versus the O-line. If you can get a pass rush, if you unleash Harold Perkins, I think that's what you want to see if you're an LSU football fan. Kind of get back to some normalcy here.
And Deshaun Womack.
And Maason Smith. If they don't line him, I love what Brian Kelly said about not lining him up at the 3 technique, letting him get outside and stop doing the dirty work.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you brought in a guy like Jordan Jefferson for. That's why you have, who's my guy for Jacoby and Guillory. Like, those guys are space eaters. Let Mekhi Wingo, Maason Smith, and Harold Perkins and Deshaun Womack go to work. You don't have to worry about your secondary that much.
Yeah.
Go get some pressure on the quarterback. And if that all happens, LSU will win. But I'm taking the over just to have some fun because this game makes me a wreck. Because this is an LSU team that is much maligned, it feels like. It feels like the jury's still not out. It's a big prove-it game. As much as Ole Miss is playing for their season, I think LSU's playing for its reputation.
Right.
At least for this season.
All right, have a great weekend. Have a great day. I'm with you. I think LSU wins the game. I think they're the better team. The over would probably be the play from a betting standpoint when you're talking about these two offenses and lack of defenses. Can LSU get a pass rush? We'll see. Maybe a guy like Spates opens up somebody else on the outside.
Yeah. Denver Harris interception, calling it.
Ooh, that'd be a good one. LSU wins on Saturday. They cover. We'll see you Sunday, breaking it down here on the Jordy Culotta Show. Have a great weekend. We'll be back with you on Sunday at some point. Just hit the notification button. You'll know then. Follow us on social media at Culotta Show. Have a great weekend. We'll talk to you on Sunday evening. And as always, we're built by R&B.
Cordell, bring us home.
Monday through Friday from 7 to 9. Yeah, you see the notification, we about to go live. We got all your favorite guests, we got them in line. It's the Jordy Culotta Show, come have a good time. It's the hottest show around, we ain't gotta flex. Call up G, we get it done, we earning our respect. Tell recruits to let us in, where they going next. Throw up the L's, now we lit, band playing neck. From the boot to the east to the west coast. No matter where we at, we live, mic'd up for show. Open up the phone lines, come and join the show. Make sure you tell your friends about Jordy Culotta Show. Yeah, Monday through Friday.